They will. If anybody notices a difference, let me know. If anybody notices a difference, let me know. If anyone notices a difference, let me know. I think it's kind of dark. Nah, it looks good. It looks like belly. Udo, 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 udo. We got two people in here. Welcome. My name is Derek O'Foderinwa with the Medicine Shell. Today we are doing Ask Me Anything. I put a specific topic in the title. It's something that I used to do a few years back. I would just pick a specific topic and address it, whatever was on my mind. And so Moi said, let us discuss this particular one because it's something that I've been talking about in my personal life as of these past few weeks. Udo, hey, JD Bailey, Udo, 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 Udo. I'm experimenting with a new look, guys. Let me know if this is too dramatic. I don't. I usually try to stay low-fi, but I said let me. Hey, hey, it's Chidi. Hey, Chidi, nwanne Chidi, nwanne m. Nwanyị ọma. Ada dibia. Hey, Adamme. Chidi, so nice seeing you. You say, I can already see you smiling from ear to ear. I can feel you smiling. Hey, Odugo, nwanne m. You say, I need to, guys. I'm trying to think of like, I need some production. You know what I mean? He said, I need some production. I'm trying to get like I've been thinking like a soundboard. I've been thinking about getting Ogene. You understand? I've been thinking about all these different things. So if you guys got ideas for production, I'm here. He say. Hukumere. Hey, Chief. Odogu. Odogu. Ikemba. Udo nwanne. He say, hey, are you guys liking the new aesthetic or am I tripping? I like the outside. I love this. I like outside too. But I might have to chill on the outside because of the sprinklers. I don't need the sprinklers attacking me mid live. And then it's harder to keep the kids at bay when they have a very accessible door. So right now I can lock this door and I can focus and I can give you guys a quality discussion. Let me do my thing. Anyways, like I said, my name is Derek O'Foderinwa for those who are new. I discuss Odinala, which is Igbo spirituality, cosmology, and culture, ancestral thoughts. For those of you who are interested in the topic, if you are not subscribed, hit subscribe. If you are subscribed, right, and I don't know, you know somebody who would be interested in this topic, go ahead and copy this and share it with them, invite them into the live. This is Ask Me Anything. Even though I do have a topic in the title, I don't know if I want to address the topic first or the questions first. This is still Ask Me Anything. It's the same thing that we always do every Saturday. We ask questions, but this is a topic I wanted to address a little bit. So hopefully we naturally walk into it. But like I said, for those of you who have been watching for a while and you're not on the Patreon already, get on the Patreon. We already have 11 people in here. Damn. Okay, so we are going to start the talk once we get to 15. Okay? Once we get to 15, we will begin Ask Me Anything. Bring your question. Bring your question. The outside is better, makes you look like a bloom. This makes you look like a bloom. But you're good. All them. The setup is a little jazzy, but no one has died from too much pizzazz. Yes. Too much pizzazz has never hurt a soul. You say. I wanted to get some music. Like I was like, I've been in a mood lately. Something has not an event, right? Not an event. But let me say this, I've been in a mood lately. So I was actually thinking about I have a vinyl player that, it's one of these Bluetooth vinyl players. And like when the speakers it was hooked onto, something happens to them, it's done forever. So either way, I'm going to maybe play some music or something. I don't know. Or maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I should just keep it lo-fi. A free digital option by adding sounds and visual effects. It's called Streamlabs. Works best on desktop. Can add background music too. Ah, wow, Odugo. All right, I'll look into it. And somebody had recommended that before. Um, Somebody had recommended that before, so I think that's a good idea. We've hit 15 people, he said. All right, cue the jazz hands. Let me see if I can get some natural light in here so I don't look completely like I'm underwater. Hold on. But hey, I might take all of you guys' recommendations and still do this because this looks this looks jazzy, like you guys said. Do you believe? Okay, all right. Let me begin. So what I'm going to do is breakology. For those who are not familiar with what I'm about to do, right? In the ancestral way, Odinala, when you are in the attendance of many, when there are many present, right, or when you are addressing a crowd, hold on. All right. Oh my God, I don't know what that was. Anyways, when you're addressing many, let me not pass out in the live. Maybe it's the lights, but when you're addressing many, the proper way to begin the address is by breaking Oji, by breaking Kola, right? So the Kola represents many things. I'm holding it in an UFO, right? UFO, UFO. The name UFO says the vessel of remains. The vessel of remains, okay? So what then are the remains? The remains are the Oji, right? The remains are our ancestors, everything it takes to make us, everything that's in attendance, all of the people in attendance, both physical and non-physical. You and the spirits you bring into the room. In order for me to make sure that we are all in attendance in peace and we are all in attendance in respect and we are all together with one heart, I use Oji to unify us. And this is a great way for beginning communication with any of the Abara and elements of nature, with your own chi, with your ancestors, and with the people you care about and that are close to you. So that being said, let me begin. Hold on. Almost missed a live. Black and white would be nice. You have to elaborate. Do you believe in... Okay, we're going to get to the questions. Anyways, let's go. Okike keruwa. Alawala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala na-enye ndụ. Na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ụmụ gị abịala. Eji m ọjị n'aka na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Jikwe ọjị na-ekele ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Eji m ọjị na-ekele ndị ichie na ọkpụ. Jikwe m obiọma na-ekele mmụọ na-esoro anyị na mmụọ anyị ga-afụ ebe anyị na-aga. Ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele ndị ichie m, nna nna m, ọnwa gị, Derek Duru ụfọdụ nwa na-ekwu. Ejikwere m ọjị na-ekele nna Ejike. Eji m ọjị na-ekele nna Ejike. Eji m ọjị na-ekele nna Emenaha. Eji m ọjị na-ekele nna Kwebu. Eji m ọjị na-ekele nna ụfọdụ nwa. Eji m ọjị na-ekele nna Akaweze. Jikwa ọjị na-ekele Eke, Orie, Afọ na Nkwọ. Ọjị nke bụ ọjị udo. Ọjị nke bụ ọjị uche. Ọjị nke bụ ọjị omume. Mana omenala bụ ihe na-eme eme. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na Eke, na Orie, na Afọ na Nkwọ ise. All right, let's go. Yeah, like I was saying, man, I'm all about production right now. I'm trying to step the production up. I like this blue look. I look like I'm in Belly. I like it. He said, hey, he said, Chidi, I felt that one. Oh, I felt that one. So what did I just do, right? I use this Oji, if you guys can see. I use the things I have in this UFO, in this tray of, in this vessel of remains, right? I used these things to greet everything in attendance. I greeted the sky and the earth. I greeted the creator. I greeted the spirits that follow us. And these are the things I said. I greeted the spirits that follow us as we walk and the spirits that we will meet on our path. I greeted our foremothers and forefathers, the ancestors, under the title Opo na Iche. Opo na Iche. Opo na Iche. Opo literally says bone. Opo says bone. But Opo is also bone, is one of the references to the feminine. Bone is one of the references to the feminine, Opo, and so forth. So in our culture, when a woman takes a title, when she's manifest and achieved awele and brought those good things her chi came her into the world to bring, she gets a title, and the title will have different names in different community, but will almost universally have the wearing of some type of bone, ivory, almost always ivory, right? Almost always ivory. And so I greeted Ndi Okpu. The bone is also feminine because the feminine is physical, the physical is feminine, which matches what we're going to be discussing today, right? The physical manifest world is feminine, and bone is the ultimate physical part of the body. It's the hardest. It's the part that holds everything up and together and makes us what we are, right? So I greeted them. I greeted each of the four pathways that we enter the world. Eke, Urie, Afo, Nkwo. By greeting Eke, Urie, Afo, Nkwo, you greet every unnamed ancestor. You greet every unnamed person who is yet to be born. You greet every unnamed spirit that will not be born and is not trying to be born. You greet because all of us belong to one of these four houses, right? All of us belong to one of these four houses. And by the way, if you know what house you belong to between Eke, Urie, Afo, Nkwo, type it in the chat. I want to see something. Type it in the chat. If you are Nwa Eke, a child of Eke, let me know. If you're a child of Urie, let me know. A child of Afo, let me know. A child of Nkwo, let me know. Now, if you haven't gone and gotten it checked and all these different things, based on what these four elements are, you can let me know the one that resonates with you. I've never met somebody who has said, oh, I feel like this one, and has not later found out that they are that thing, right? Though I don't have a lot of examples to use, maybe like 2 or 3, but all of them have been correct. They felt it, and then that's what they were. So, Odemma, let us know which one you feel. Are you fire, water, earth, or wind, air, right? Are you fire, water, earth, or air? That is Eke, Uri, Afo, Nkwo. Whichever one you are, I greeted you. I gave you your honor and your respect by saying your name when I was breaking Aji. I also said that this Aji is going to bring peace. So every single thing I greeted, from creation to that outside of creation, I said that we'll have peace with this Aji. I said that, I can't remember which, wisdom with this Aji. And we will have action, right? Omume, we will have action, right? I think what the young people call motion, right? Motion. We'll have motion. Odemma. So whichever direction you're going to go, you're going to have motion because I said it. I put it on the awful, or I put it on the RG and the awful, and so forth. I told the ancestors it will be that way. And so I said that we'll have motion because that's omenala bunhine meme. Omenala is what you do. Omenala is something you do, right? Omenala bunhine me. Those of you who took Igbo 1, who took Igbo 2, you maybe heard what I just said, right? You maybe heard what I just said. So yeah, that was that. All right, let me begin. And then those who said he say received it. Hey, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names. I'm super happy. I'm happy to be receiving these, seeing you guys. I'm seeing familiar names. I love seeing the. Hey, Tochuku. Ah, is this the same Tochuku? Tochuku Biko Wanne. Tochuku Wanne, tell me, is this Patreon Tochuku or is this a new Tochuku that I need to meet? Odemma. Is this Patreon Tochuku or is this a new Tochuku that I need to meet? Udongwane. All right. Okay, so let's go to the questions. Outside is better. This makes you look like a blue man, LOL, but you're good. The setup is a little jazzy. Oh, we might get real jazzy. I have a humidifier, right? Because we're from the humid part of the world, so I try to keep my rooms humid, and it puffs up this little smoke. And I thought about having the smoke, but I said, you know what? Let me ease them into it. Let me ease them into the drama. Let me ease them into the drama. Let me not go 100 miles an hour just yet, right? So right now we're going 50, right? You might see some smoke very soon, right? Yeah, we're jazzing it up. Metasol. Oh, very nice seeing your name. Udo. Chidi says, cue the jazz hands. Okay, I'm looking for questions. Oh yeah, if you're new, this is the part where you drop the questions. This is the part where you drop the questions. All right. Omenala bunyine man. I was just talking about learning things physically with respect to Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson's versus LeBron James, and Chris Brown. Ikenga Nation, Udochi. Can you elaborate on what you're saying? Because that's interesting. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, but you put verses between the two groups. So can you elaborate on what you mean by that? I would love to hear this. This is interesting. Almost missed the live. All smiles be. So long as you're here, you are on time. Udo, udo, udo. Do you believe you can reincarnate into another race if all of your ancestors are not? Okay, I think. As I was reading, that thing was reincarnated, right? Or reincarnated was deleted. So I'm going to answer the question. I know the question was retracted, I guess. Hold on. Okay, what's going on? Okay, and I got exclamation. True, chill out. What are you doing? What are you doing? Chill out. So as I was saying, okay, let me answer True's question. Asks me if you can reincarnate into another race. Absolutely. If you have somebody who's another race in your family, you can absolutely reincarnate into another race. Most Americans are mixed. Most people in the Western Hemisphere are mixed. Um, you know what I mean? So it's that's natural. That's normal. My grandfather is currently in one of my grandfather's forms. He's a half Asian. So so yeah, you can absolutely reincarnate to a different race, so long as it's within the family. Um, in accordance to Igbo belief, Odinala, Odemma. All right, let me see another question. Siberia, Udongwane, always nice seeing. Oh my God, nice seeing you, nice seeing you, nice seeing you. Uh, okay, true. Why do you keep deleting these questions? Because them damn exclamation marks, you know. Nah, well, glad I caught your live. Hey, Ada, Wyoma, Jashika, welcome. Please, sir, where can I chat with you privately? Well, I make myself very available. If you're messaging me on Instagram, good luck. That website gives me, or that app gives me a headache. But you can email me. I make my email available, I think, in the little description thing at the bottom of the YouTube. You can message me on. I don't really check the Facebook like that either. Facebook, or you can message me on Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine shell. But if you can't do the Patreon right now, an email is probably best. Patreon number one, email number two. But if you can't do Patreon, or you're just not interested in that, just go ahead and email me and we can talk. Oh, Twitter. I check Twitter too. Greetings. I found out that I'm 4.4% Igbo. You say, well, welcome. You are 100% welcome, Uda. You know this. I don't know if you guys gonna understand what I'm saying. So, I'm beginning to. I don't. A lot of cultures don't do blood quantum, right? A lot of cultures don't do blood quantum. So, like, I understand that by using DNA, you can identify, where you're from and so forth. But because if your father is Igbo, you're Igbo. So somewhere down the line, that was the case for you. So you are Igbo. Odemma. There's no 2%, 1%. If you have 1%, you won't Igbo. You won't Igbo. Odemma. Because the other, anyways, let me go on. Nkwo in the house. Nkwo in the house. I fall in the house. I fall in the house. Eke all day. That sounds like a very Eke answer. Hey, Apunango, he said, Adeke, fire is air. I'm also an Aquarius. Oh man, I think that's double because I want to say Aquarius is air sign. Urie, I'm thinking this is Patreon Tochi. I'm thinking this is Patreon Tochi or Tochuku. Sorry. Is there based on which day you're born? Yes, it's based on the day you're born. Absolutely. Though I have the controversial opinion that I think a person can feel it out. You know what your spirit is. Urie. Nkwo as a twin. Also child of Afo. Neurodivergent. Ise. Fire and air. I am electricity. Yes, you are. When my feet touch the earth. Ah, shit. Nah, Cyber, I appreciate you so much, Udo. I appreciate your spirit. I don't think he got to questions yet. Okay. Oh, damn, True. I mean, True, I was just kidding. I don't... True, chill out, chill out, chill out. It's still love. It's still love. It's still love. Udo, Udo, Udo. First time here. Ndewo na. Okay, Ndewo nwanne. There's another Tochuku from Patreon. There's also Urie. So I thought this was the same person, but hey, you are welcome. You're very welcome. I don't know, but it seems like Eke. I always like the color black and very introspective. The elements of fire, thought not sure, but light and shadow. I feel strong too. Ise, Odemma. Did you hear the British attempting to recruit Commonwealth Africans? My opinion, them days are over. We have wisened up. Yes, there's not a single Western European army. There's not a single Western European nation that can stand on its own 2 feet without extreme contribution from the continent of Africa, a contribution by way of people, contribution by way of resources. There's not a single Western European country that can stand on its own 2 feet in any regards. That can just say, I'm going to leave Africa alone for 1 year and then keep existing. It does not, there's not one. That's why they have socialism, right? That's why a lot of them are, oh, you get the free college, you get the free medicine, ooh, all that shit, you know? But if you take Africa out of the equation, I mean, what's the last made in Britain thing you bought, right? I don't own a damn thing that's been made in Britain. You understand? I don't own maybe if I buy a Bentley, but I think they make those in China now. I wouldn't be, or Mexico. I wouldn't be surprised, right? So yeah, the Europe is done. Western Europe is done. It's done for. It's been done for a while. They use a lot of American loans and American institutions to prop up this idea that they have money and they have something going on. And then, of course, extraction from Africa, resources, and people. People, they don't want your black ass there, but you have to be there because if you weren't there, it wouldn't exist. And I think we as Africans globally and non Africans, I know there's non Africans watching, we have to understand this very well. We also have to know that we as Africans, or everybody has to know that we're aware, we're fully aware. We know. We know what time it is. We know that if shit pops off, that Commonwealth, blah, 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 you don't have enough people to make the thing work, right? You don't have enough people to make the thing work. You don't have enough resources to make the thing work. We understand, right? So we know whose ball, we're in the information age. There was a time where the information was not available. Now we are aware, right? Luku made it to a live session. He said, Editi, one them, welcome. Oh, he said, cool. Ro Godwin, a couple weeks back, you mentioned that working with Ikenga is masculine, working with it as a woman can drive off men, which is fine with me. Fly that flag. Let's go. Wave your flag. I always hesitate to give those answers because I'm like, hey, not everybody is into the same thing. You understand? So if I say Ikenga does woo 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 and it does that's not bad news for everybody, right? So Rose says, hey, that's not bad news for me. But is there a feminine counterpart or equivalent? Yes, the feminine counterpart of Ikenga is the Omu, O-M-U, Omumu or Omu, Omumu or Omu. The feminine counterpart of the Ikenga is the Omu, and it is a radically different energy. You also have to understand when we say masculine and feminine, it's not 100% the same thing as gender, right? Is not the 100% the same thing as gender, though it manifests as gender. It is what gender is rooted in, but it is not gender itself, right? And the reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because the Ikenga, everybody has Ikenga, right? Everybody has Ikenga, but the nature of that energy is masculine. Now, every non-male in this live knows that there's times in life where you need that masculine energy, right? What is the masculine energy in Odinala? The masculine energy is the kinetic energy, is the energy that moves, it is the energy that goes out and gets something, right? The Omomo is the opposite. It is the energy that does not move and has things come to it. It is the energy that does not move and has things come to it. So manifesting things like creativity, things like, of course, birth, birth, right? Childbirth, things like that. The gateway energy, bringing new things in, taking new old things out, and so on and so forth. All of that is classified as omumu or omu. If you go to most of the major arashi at home, at their core is an omu or akwali omumu, which is a shrine or an arashi that channels the omumu energy. If you've heard about the Igbo pyramids, they call them the Igbo pyramids or the Insude pyramids. Those pyramids were very common all over Igbo land, but they were vehemently and they were all destroyed by the British and their minions. But those pyramids are Omumu. That's what it's channeling, right? So Omumu is channeled by the cone, the pyramid, or the hill shape, and so forth, which you see in the shape of a pregnant stomach and the breasts of a woman, right? So the Omumu is the energy that draws things towards it, right? The Omumu is also the energy that creates new things and brings new things and so forth, right? So think about, okay, so when we talk about Odinala, we talk about Alanigwe, right? Allah is the earth, right? Allah is the earth. One of Allah's titles is Omuala, right? Or Omumuala, which is basically saying the Omu of Allah, right? Igwe is sky, right? One of its names is Ikenga Chuku or Ikenchuku, right? And so think about it like this. Think about gravity, right? Think about the power of gravity. That is physical gravity. That is Omumu. That is Omu, right? If I jump from the earth will take me back down, right? This also manifests on a spiritual level. So the counterpart of Ikenga is Omumu. Now, everybody needs to tap into one of those every now and then. Everybody needs to tap into one of those every now and then, right? So, hey, we're going hard this direction, we're going hard in that direction, and so forth. What Igbo believe is that if you are a man, the world, you were brought into the world to offer that to the rest of your community, your family, and the world. If you are brought into the world as a woman, you were brought into the world to offer that to the community, so on and so on and so forth. So there's the communal answer and there's the personal answer, right? You're going to get the communal answer from me most of the time, right? Because we are not we don't think like individuals, right? We're not individualistic. But America is individualistic. So sometimes an individual, hey, I need to Ikenga it up over here. I need to, hey, hold on. I need to Ikenga it up over here. I need to Omumu it up over there. There it is. Hold on. There it is. Yeah. Just playing my shadow, that kind of thing. So yeah, thanks for that question, Ro. I appreciate it. Says they must be in touch. Uri. All right, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson learned to master their craft in their bones physically due to the way they were literally internalized everything in those days. Yes, absolutely. That I'm quite actually a queen in my past life spiritually. I was told that I was sure about it. I'm Igbo, not mixed in the slightest. He said. Okay. So Chidi, Ezenwai Chidi has answered. Ezenwai Chidi has answered. So she says you're talking about Omumu. Do Igbo believe a child knows that they came in? Okay. Do Igbo believe a child knows what they? Absolutely, absolutely. And so when we talk about purpose, let's not. I'm not saying you did this, but let's not make it like a profession. Like, okay, I came into the world to be a carpenter and that kind of thing. That is a piece. It is an ingredient of the big picture. But a child knows 100% who they are, right? Every child is born knowing exactly who they are. Because in Igbo say, a child is a spirit, right? A child is a spirit. So a child is born knowing exactly who they are. Sometimes life makes you forget pieces of that. And that's why sometimes it helps to remember who you were as a child and what you gravitated towards and what gravitated towards you, where you found your light, where you felt darkness, that kind of thing. And then embracing that whole thing and moving forward, right? And in embracing that, you get a better understanding because the communication channel between a child and their chi is not interrupted by the world or not, and not say the world, but like other people, I guess, right? It's not interrupted by other people. So yeah, child 100% knows. And it's funny too, because I used to believe in raising children, right? I used to believe in this idea of raising children. I don't believe it anymore. I have 2 kids now. I don't believe in raising children. It's gonna sound crazy. I don't believe in raising children, right? So this idea that a child comes out and then you do these certain things and they start moving in this certain direction and so forth. I think temporarily you can get a child to move this way or that way or be this or be that, but fundamentally the truth will always win, right? The truth will always win. There's nothing about the human nature that doesn't come with birth and did not exist before your birth, right? You are a conduit for something that existed before you and will exist after you. And it is passing through. It is passing through, and you're one of the forms it passes through, right? If you think about like when you see, I don't know if you've ever seen them little electric current setups, like a circuit board. They got the little parts where the energy goes there and it gets there, it goes there, and it hits there. Your circuit board B16, you understand? And this energy you're feeling, well, you're the energy actually, right? Well, you're both, right? But this current form, your energy B16, that energy knows exactly what information it's carrying and where it's moving and what it means and so forth, right? And it knows it when it's in your form, it'll know it afterwards, right? So, and I think that thing is very real. I think, it's funny. The reason I say I don't believe in raising children is because I watched both of my kids come out. I watched my daughter come out, and I watched my son come out. And I'm trying to find a way to say this, but they were all, you can see that this was like, it clicks that, oh, this is a fully formed person. This is a fully formed person. This isn't a person that's going to gradually um, be built, right? This is not a person that's going to be gradually built over time. This is a fully formed person. This person has been here before. This person knows why they're there and so forth, right? Like the way there's you can feel the spirit. And then I'm not saying like when I say things like this, or if I say something like this, don't think that like I got magic powers, right? All of you can do what I'm saying. You can feel someone's spirit, right? And I remember when my daughter was born, there was a certain spirit I felt, right? It felt like it's hard to describe these things in words, but like when somebody extends their hands and goes, "Yay!" It felt like that, right? It just felt like, yeah, you know what I mean? We were almost about to call her Angori, which means joy, right? But we had decided on Olanna, which is her father's jewel, Olanna, right? And so it felt like that. And I remember my son's when he came, it felt like so it was just peace. And again, I was about to name him Udo, but he was my grandfather. I said that I'm gonna name him after my grandfather, which is Nnamdi, right? But that kind of thing, I was feeling them come out, and that's who they've always been. That's who they've been. That's what they've carried, and so forth, right? That's who they are. So, Ademma. Shanita, ndewo. Super late to the party. Hope I didn't miss much. Nah, we're chilling. We're chilling. Are there ghosts in the Igbo understanding? Well, when you say like ghost, like spirit, yeah, for sure, for sure. A wandering spirit, which is I think that's closer to ghost, is Aka Ogili. And I'm saying it incorrectly. Aka Ogili, Aka Ogili, Aka Ogili, Aka Ogili. Aka Ogili is an Afa word, right? So Afa is the language of Ndimbu na Ndiegede, of Mado and more like the spring that the Igbo language comes from is Afa. Afa is most commonly seen in divination. So when you do divination with Afa, you get these terms like Aka Ogili, Aka Ogili, Aka Ogili, a spirit that's like moving about, a wandering spirit, that kind of thing. I'm actually learning Afa. All right, I was really inspired by we have a traditional medicine class at Kedu, www.kedu.me, or if you're on Patreon, if you sign up for the highest tier, you can do the traditional medicine class. So if you're interested in like learning like traditional medicine, Debia work, and so forth, hit me up. We have a Debia teaching the class, and it's starting in September. This next one is in September. So, but in that class, I kind of got inspired to learn Alpha, right? And so I've been studying Alpha. I've been doing Alpha. I've been thinking about incorporating Alpha with everything I do as far as like, our community, the village, and everything like that. So I'm trying to think of a way to do it. If you guys got cool ideas, I'm thinking about just making a video, just seeing what Alpha says every day. each day. Like, what does Afa say as far as today? What's Afa's message for you that today? And then just seeing what Afa says and sending it. Now, I do my Afa a little bit different. I use a coin, right? I use a coin, but it's not an ordinary coin, though. So I'll do my. Yeah. There's ghosts. Aka Ogili. The term comes from Afa. Aka Ogili. Yep. It's literally a different form of mastery. Chris Brown's mastery comes from a different place than Michael Jackson. Can you, Udochi, can you explain Chris Brown's mastery? Like, well, I don't know his like history except like the real public parts. So, like, what's the difference between his and someone else's? But I like what you're saying. This is dope. Keep going, please. What does it mean? What does it mean? Reason, purpose to find the names of. Oh, nice. Why should you find the purpose or the names of your ancestors? Odemma? If we are sitting in a crowded room and let's say your name is Gabriella, right? And you hear Gabriella, you're going to turn and look. If you don't turn or look, your spirit will turn and look, right? There's no such thing as you hearing your name and ignoring it. It doesn't exist, right? Especially if you're in a crowded room, if you didn't expect it, if it's like in the morning, that kind of thing, right? The name, denala, aha, right? Aha madu, rafa madu. When I was talking about divination earlier, afa means naming, okay? Naming them, giving name to the mystery, afa, right? When it comes to names, spirit responds to its name, okay? More responds to its name. The names you call, you are inviting something in. So when you call your ancestors' names, let's say you are inviting them or you are waking them up. You are waking them up, okay? That's what that is. So it's important to use their very specific names. Now, the topic I had for just randomly today, I don't know if I'll even get to it, we'll see, is that the fact that this spirituality is something you learn physically, right? So when you call your ancestor's name, right? When you call your ancestor's name and they make their presence known or they awaken within you, wherever your cosmic imagination places them, right? You will feel it. It's not because the guy with the little space background thing said it on that blue ass YouTube video. It's because you feel it, right? So when I was breaking Aji, I called my ancestors' names, right? I called my ancestors' names. I didn't greet them today. I hadn't greeted them today. Like I said, I've been in a mood and I just kind of got right to work. I'm very excited about the next video I'm doing. So I just woke up and I got right to it and I didn't do anything else. I just remembered to eat a little bit before I started this live and shower and all that. But when you call those names, so the reason I did that is, I want to give them their respects. I hadn't done that today. When you call their names, I feel it. Like when I say each of their names, I feel it, right? Right? So yeah, when you call a name, somebody calls your name in a crowded room, if you don't turn your head, your spirit will, right? And so yeah, you call its name and it makes itself present. More spirit makes itself present. Okay? One of the things people will do as far as Odinani goes is there are more that you don't call their name. There are more that you don't want them around. There are ancestors you may not want around, right? So what they tend to do is you'll cut a little piece of Aji, and you'll throw it over your shoulder, right? And you won't say any names. So sometimes when you see me breaking Aji, you'll see me, I'll throw something over my shoulder. That's what that is, right? And what it is though you are not calling them forward, though, we've chosen to not deal with these ones, you are also saying, hey, I'm in peace with you as well. We have peace as well. We're in peace as well, right? So imagine, let's say you're in an elevator and a big ass argument breaks out. Oh, two people are fighting, that kind of thing. You don't want to associate with the argument. Maybe you feel like you're not safe, right? Maybe one of them pulls out a gun, right? But then they look at you and they wink. They didn't say your name. They didn't do it. You're okay, right? We don't have a problem. We're cool. So that's what it is, right? We don't want them elevator gun pulling ass spirits set up. But we are in peace with them. We give them what belongs to them, right? We're in peace with them. There's somewhere our chi brought us to go. I'm not here to fight with you. Take your peace. That kind of thing. This is really beautiful and thorough breakdown. Oh, Ro, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Invoking possession, writing. He said, um, that is definitely a repellent intimacy, but also can be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also can break blood, dangerous, and female body. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, working with Ikenga, like working with Almo, working with the Ikenga, the effects are not as rewarding for women as they are for men. Right? They're not as like Ikenga. Working for with Almo, the effects are not as rewarding for women or men as they are for women. That's just what that is, right? That's just what that is. So, what we do is we look for our seats of power. Our seats of power. I did not, my community, my people, my family did not bring me into the world to manifest. They brought me into the world to do, right? If somebody's coming to rob this house, and then I get on my knees and I start trying to manifest some a savior, right? I that's hey, what the hell was that? You know, right? They're gonna look, hey, we need you to do something. All right, boom. I was talking earlier about so like in Igbo culture, we have these things called like family groups, um, where all of the family is in like a kind of like a little like a club or meeting, right? And so the thing is, so like if in the men's group, if there's an expense, people will just say like a not like it like something that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not just like, hey, this person needs money. It'll be like, hey, we need to build like we had a vote in my family, like our compound. We had a vote on what we should build, and the debate was between a family public toilet or bathroom toilet, something like that, but a public bathroom or a giant wall around our compound. And so a lot of people wanted the wall because I'm letting out my family business, but a lot of people wanted the wall because the surrounding families had walls and we didn't want to get flexed on, right? And then some people wanted the bathroom because I have three uncles that are refusing to install bathrooms in their house. And now everybody, because they didn't grow up with them, and so now everybody in town has bathrooms, every single person. So their kids keep going to other people's houses to go to the bathroom, which is bringing a lot of shame to the family, right? And so it's hard to convince them to build it because they didn't grow up with it, right? It's hard to convince somebody in adulthood to do something that their childhood has acclimatized to, right? There's an ilu that says onyekwe chiekwe, right? Which is what you will, your chi wills, and so forth, right? So if you how I can't remember how I connected the two thoughts, but they just left each other. Or maybe I said the wrong ilu. But either way, so the person you come through life, your more acclimatizes to the environment, right? And then to get it to do something else is very difficult once you're an adult. But at the same time, if say we're going this way again, then your chi can follow you and so forth. So we were having this big debate, and me and my mom were particularly frustrated because the bathroom made more sense to us. My dad and some others preferred the wall because, in my dad's words, they should build their own damn bathroom. Right? And so, yeah, it's just this big ass thing. But when the decision gets made, all the men are going to have to raise the money and build the thing. There's no such a thing as I don't have it right now. There's no such a thing as it's too expensive. That shit doesn't even exist, right? So this happens a lot, like for a lot of different things. We just built our OB or rebuilt our OB, which is like our meeting hall, an ancestral shrine. And because the old one was very like, I mean, it was built in like the 80s or 70s or something. And so we built like a modern one and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's Ikenga, but that doing that is the Ikenga. That doing that is the Ikenga, right? But if we need somebody to pray over the children, to pray over the family, so on and so on and so forth, you can't beat the mothers. You can't beat the mothers. That's all Momo. That's all Momo. You understand? Is it possible? Okay, let me go back. Okay, let me go back. Is it possible for your Nyuwa? Is it possible? I can't think today. It's probably the light. But is it possible your Unyuwa is alive while you're told that you're her. A friend told me that she was reincarnated from a maternal grandmother, and this grandmother saw him as herself and was alive till his teens. Yeah, yeah, that happens. So especially when it's like a very old person, a very old man or a very old woman, right? So a very old person, oftentimes the child will now come before they pass. My wife has the same story. So my wife is her grandmother, and while her mother was pregnant, the grandmother said, "That's me in your stomach, right? That's me in there." And then a few days later, because she was blind, a few days later, her rapa caught fire and she passed away very tragically. But she's back now as my wife. So, is it? But yeah, that happens, Edith. Edith. Edith, you know, if you come to America, I don't know if you're in America, Edith, but in America, they'll call you Edith. Edith. I have a cousin named Edith, and she loved her name because it was her mom's name, and da da da. And then she came to America, and people start calling her Edith. And she said it sounds like they're trying to spit on her, that she doesn't like the name anymore, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I remember that being a thing. They moved here in like 2004, and yeah, what the yes, I'm a reincarnate. I was told my parents, why are we serious church people? Okay, yes, I'm a reincarnate. And told my parents why, and we are serious church people. Now I need help with Afa. Yeah, we have a Dibia on Patreon. So anybody that needs Afa, that needs a reading, he's available. Just kind of like when you schedule it on Patreon, try to give him a day warning, right? A day's like forewarning, right? So like if you schedule it on Wednesday, like to do a reading, don't don't make it so that the reading is also on Wednesday, right? Because that, yeah, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, we have a DBA on Patreon that can do a reading for you, or you can find a DBA in your community as well. Odema. Olana Maka. Hey, Olana Maka for me. Yeah, it's a very beautiful name. When someone extends their arm and says, "Yay," you mean you felt happy there? No, no, no. Of course, I felt happy, but her energy was like that. Some people's energy, you can just describe it with like a movement. I don't know how to explain it, but her energy was like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. Like the sun, like sun, you know, and that kind of thing. So I'll do. He say you mean you were happy, but yes, I was also happy. I do. I was also happy. How can I look for this spirit now that my son is 4 years old now? Rosie, can you elaborate on what you mean by how can I look for this spirit now that your child is 4 years old? Can you elaborate on that? Hey, Gibson, Onyike, Onyuche, Fountain of Wisdom. Okay, I believe you can only be I believe you can only be a reincarnate of dead ancestors. I've seen cases where it's like the person's still alive, but they're very, very old. But they're very, very old, right? I don't know how. Maybe your aghon, you know, understand? Like maybe your aghon begins the trip before you even die sometimes, right? It begins the return. You understand? I don't know, but like I said, I have actually seen in my own life, I've seen examples where the person is alive and then um, maybe they pass away when the child's a baby or pass away while the mother is pregnant. But yeah, I understand what you mean as well, Deep. So I'm not arguing. I want to train on that. I see two Guo and need training. My parents couldn't help me because of church. Yeah, Angel, if yeah, whatever you need, we're here to help you. Odema, whatever you need, we're here to help you. I would love to learn from a real DBA. Because let's talk. Ro, get on Patreon and message me. Get on Patreon and message me. The traditional medicine class fills up really fast as far as seats. Last time, because everybody came in one big rush, I didn't know who to tell, hey, you can't come here no more. So we had like a lot of people in there. I think the class went well, but on the back end for me, it was a lot. It was a lot to manage. So so I'm trying to take it easy this time. But the message is just hurry up and get over. Ask Mazi more about it so he can explain it better. Um, I lived, experienced this working or warrior energy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Can you explain how the left hand is the spirit hand? Yeah, I do. Yeah. So in Igbo, the word for the left hand is literally the spirit hand, the ghost hand. Akebe, right? And then this one's called akanri, which is the food hand. Food hand, spirit hand. Food hand, spirit hand. There's this thing they say that ancient cultures they don't eat with the left hand because they use it to wipe themselves. That is a bunch of Eurasian BS. That's not true. That's just dumb and not true. Maybe they did it in Denmark and Pakistan, but they didn't do it where I'm from. Okay, nobody's using their hands to wipe. That's stupid. That doesn't even make any sense. The akebe, the spirit hand. So it's just simple. Everything comes in two forms. Mado, mo, mado, mo. The same way you have a physical eye, you have a spiritual eye. Your oseara, your eye of light, your third eye, as it's known right now. The same way you have a hand that's for the world, akanri. There's also the physical world. There's a hand that's for the non-physical world. So a lot of people will say that when you go to your altar, you use your left hand. I use my right hand. I'm right-handed. I don't think it's that big a deal. Some people take that very seriously. Mm. Your channel gave me courage to listen, and I had to binge. Oh, Angel, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being brave. Yeah, so I think, Angel, I think as a generation, we have to be the ones that are courageous. We have to be the ones that don't care what the people directly before us are saying. The road they are leading us down with this eradication of their own selves is obviously not working. It will not work. I don't think I need to convince anybody that detaching themselves from their ancestors and from their truth is healthy. So we have to be the generation that just kind of does a hard stop on, hey, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but this is where I'm going, right? Give them the respect, but this is where we're going. So, and eventually, if you are if you're actually listening to your chi is like a light, right? Madubu chi beya. So as if you are tapped into your light will shine onto other people. They will feel it and they will probably move accordingly. Okay. Can you call your own name? Is that a thing? If you want, nobody's gonna beat you up, right? I said my name, but I said my name because I said it's me, your child, or it's me, your son, Derek Duru, or father-in-law, right? So I said my own name when I do. I say my own name all the time, but I'm not calling my name like because I'm already here. You know what I mean? So it's like calling myself on the phone, but some people call themselves on the phone. I've heard of a concept in Obe called Obi, interesting, which the practitioner is to eventually merge with. Is this related to the Igbo concept of Obi? Is this basically Agu? That's really interesting. I would have to know more about what Obi is in Obe. But Obi is a loudly Igbo word, so I would have it's very hard for me to say it's not the same thing. What you'll find as far as Odinala goes is I use a certain set of words because they're as universal as possible. But a lot of the words I use are synonyms for each other. And if you understand what I'm talking about, and if it finally, one day it'll click and you'll see what I mean. There are some communities that say more and they mean chi. And somebody who understands, they know we're not talking about two different things, really. You understand? There are some people that will say Ekwensu instead of Amadiaha, but they're talking about the same thing. It's the same, they mean the same thing, right? So a lot of these things are interchangeable, right? All things are Eke Nachi. Eke Nachi. Everything that manifests in the chi space are synonymous. You can exchange them. Everything in the Eke space is synonymous. You can exchange them. So Ubi is depending on how it's pronounced, Ubi, which is all the same thing anyways. Ubi is the heart. I'm sorry, Ubi is where something lives, right? Ubi, the heart, which is also where something lives, right? The source, the heart, the thing that is giving everything the light. You can use Obi to say chi. You can use Obi to say chi, right? You can also say chi, use chi to say chiwa, which is agun. So yeah, I try to use a certain set of words because they're as universal as possible, but in some places they say this instead of that. But we're really talking about two things. Eke, not chi, repeating themselves in different patterns again and again and again, that kind of thing. So I do a prayer for 7 days once a year. I call myself and my spirits to be focused. Ah, wow, that's powerful. I like that. I like that. My name is Osita. I call my full name. Osita Dimma Odiri Gaba. Osita Dimma Odibaraba Obo. Hey! I like it, man. Jashike. My bad on butchering your name, by the way. Wow, I've learned so much today. Ikenga and Almo. He said, yes, let me let you guys know, because a lot of women ask me about Ikenga a lot, right? And I don't know what the hell that is. I frankly don't know what the hell that is. But everybody is most rewarded from the energy they resonate in, right? Or the energy they came as. Everybody is most rewarded by the energy they came as, if that makes sense, right? That kind of thing. And you see it in society. You see it socially. There are things that, like for example, now I always use an example. Like if Mike Tyson punched me in the face and I didn't flinch, right? I'd be very proud of myself. But I can't think of a woman in my life that would be proud of that. They'd feel like a victim, like something bad happened to them. But I'd be like, oh damn, I took that shit. You know what I mean? But that's Ikenga. That's what Ikenga is, right? Ikenga is the capacity to endure, right? So oh, what about Ikenga for me? Okay, fine. But if you want to be enduring, I think we're all tired of enduring, right? I think enduring is a little. We've been enduring too goddamn much. But hey, it's whatever a person wants to do. Ademma. Can you talk about Okago and its connection to Igwe and Amadioha? Thank you so much for this question. Agun, like all things in Odinala, comes in two forms, but Agun is more literal in its two forms, because if your cosmic imagination brings a separation for Ala and Igwe, sky and earth, that's perfectly rational, makes sense. The sky is one thing, the earth is one thing, it's hard to confuse them, but they come together, right? They come into creation together. They both live in the third house, which is Afo, right? But then Agun very loudly comes in two forms that are attached and both visible. Like they're not separate, right? And it is a man and a woman that are attached. You understand? Agun is two-headed. For those who are Black American, I think Obe, so Caribbean Black American, if you are familiar with hoodoo, you use the phrase a two-headed doctor, right? A two-headed doctor. Which is what in hoodoo, what they call a dibia. Two-headed means Agun, right? Means Agun. Agun has 1 foot in spirit, 1 foot in physical. A person who is in touch with Agun is able to interact or feel spirit in ways that most people feel the physical world, right? That's why when they start talking about it, they sound like, right, to people who are unaware. You understand? Oh, there's somebody behind you. Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, right there. There's somebody behind you, and there's nobody there. Okay, now we're looking at you, but that's one of the things that Agun brings, right? That's why Agun is also the Albara that's associated with mental illness, right? Madness, Ara, as they call it, right? But yeah, Okeagun. So those two forms have specific principles and powers and natures. I think nature is the better term, right? Those two forms have specific natures, right? The feminine, right, and the masculine. The feminine is referred to as Arubinagun or Neagun. She's also known as Ogun, which we use to say medicine, right? Which we use to say medicine, right? Or Arubinagun. All three of those are synonymous. You can, if one person says, some places they say Nagun, other places they say Arubinagun, other places they say Ogun, right? Or Muogun, or Muonsi, or Agunsi. That is the feminine, right? The masculine is the purpose holder, right? So the feminine is the power holder as far as Agun goes. Whatever if your Agun comes into the world as a healer, you're going to have the power to heal, right? One of the things, and I hope it was emphasized adequately, because whenever I would lecture, I would make sure to emphasize this. One of the things about the Debia work, right, is that ultimately you're learning how to listen to yourself. Ultimately, you're learning how to tap into what you already are and what you already have. Because if you are a Debia, you already know how to heal. The mental roadblock of getting past that doubt is really the only thing that tends to hold people, right? So for those of you, hey, maybe bills are bills are getting crazy, inflation, maybe you can't sign up for class. That's a free one, right? That kind of thing, right? So, but that power that you were born with, that you already have, and it comes in different forms for different people. It comes in different forms for different people. That is ne'agon, the feminine agon, right? The principle, what you should do with that power, is okeagon. Okeagon is the one that Chukwu sends on a mission, right? Is the one that Chukwu sends on the mission, right? So let's say somebody comes into the world to be a Debia, that they have the nature of a Debia. Yes, you have all of these abilities, but to activate Agon, to make your Agon actually move with you, you now have to take an oath of principle. You have to take an oath of principle. And once you have taken this oath of principle, you have told Agon, okay, I have accepted who I am. I'm ready to work with you. I'm ready to walk with you. I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to desecrate my hands. I'm not going to put my hands where they're dirty, that kind of thing, right? The principled one, the moral one, the one that gives the power, the structure, the direction. Okay, we can do all these things. This is how the world needs us to actualize these powers, to use these powers, right? We have these abilities. This is the direction we are going to go with it. Think about Ne'agon like the X-Men and Okeagon like Professor Xavier, Professor X. Okay, we've assembled you all. This is what we're going to do. We're going to use, you guys are mutants. We're going to use this mutant powers to save the world and yada, 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 and that kind of thing. And Okeagon does not get its hands dirty. Arobinagon can go anywhere, but Okeagon does not get its hands dirty. Okeagon does not do the unprincipled, will never do the unprincipled thing. And without Okeagon, that Agon that you have, that power that you have, it's chaos. It becomes chaos. You understand? Arobinagon, Neagon is tied to Allah. Allah is tied to Uwa, or Eke, creation, the universe, right? And another name for all of this energy is Komosu, which is the chaos nature of it. When I say chaos in the Western Abrahamic mind, you think I'm saying a bad thing. I'm not. I'm not. Afa, divination uses chaos to give you a message. You throw a bunch of things on the ground, they chaotically scatter, then something manifests, right? That's how it works. That's what it is. This whole universe is chaos, right? But if that chaos is happening in your brain without a structure, good luck. You understand? So when people have aragon, algo madness, when they're like, let's say you're a DBA or you have this calling and you are using it to do BS, and then all of a sudden the powers kind of turn against you, or almost like I cosmically I visualize it. And I don't know if I've read this somewhere. It's almost like you have a basket full of food and then it just falls on the ground, right? Now you have this big mess. It is Okeagon that gives it that structure, that okay, this is where we're going, that kind of thing. So if you zoom out from Okeagon, Okeagon is tied with Amadioha, is tied with Ekwensu, is tied with Igwe, is tied with Chukwu, is tied with Ogun, the concept of Ogun, right? Cosmic balance. Cosmic balance. So it is the principled actor. It exists in the world of principle. Okeagon, the male agon, right? One of the names for Amadioha is Aguigwe, right? The agon of the sky. So if you think of Okeagon, think of Amadioha. It's the same thing. If you think of Agon, think of Ekwensu. It's the same. Or Okeagon, think of Ekwensu. It's the same thing, right? That's why, again, you'll start kind of catching the pattern why all these things are interchangeable in different communities. What is the Igbo view of magic? You know, herbs, rituals, creating spiritual entities. Sorry, I can mix magic and other spiritualities with Igbo spirituality, or is it singular like Christianity? Yeah, whatever you can do, that's fine. But here's the thing. So I just tell you about that Arobinagu and that Okeagu. You'll notice that you'll notice that the pattern is anytime somebody comes on the internet, like we're all on the internet, so we can all see this together, and they start saying, "Oh, I got these powers, I got these powers," and then the next thing that happens is they start crashing out. Right? Somebody's beefing them in the comments. They start doing that. There's a messy little spiritual community everywhere in the world right now. Right? And all the messy, okay, I'm gonna do this to you. I'm gonna put this curse on you. I'm gonna wah 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 blah 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 that kind of thing. And then next you know that person loses their mind because they don't know that these things have cause and effect. They don't know that these things have a balance principle. They don't know that these things have an up and down principle. They don't know that these things are give and take. They don't know that these things go two directions, right? And so, yes, magic, anything you want to call it, that's all a part of it too, right? Magic is a big part of it. Magic is a big part of it, right? Magic is the most publicly understood. And here I was thinking I locked the door.
For some reason,
yeah.
I have an idea to help with your video.
Okay, what's up, man?
Geometry
Geometry
dash cube.
dash cube. Okay, maybe. I think I'll bring a different audience.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Come downstairs when you're ready, okay?
Okay, no problem. Close the door. If you want to hang out here, that's fine too.
Is it okay if you don't take very long? Because...
No, I have to take long.
Oh.
Okay, boss, say so.
How much long do you take?
We'll see. When the questions run out, I leave. Machuzo.
Okay.
Uh-huh. But what was I gonna say? So Odinala is not okay. So Odinala, yeah, that magic is there, but the actual Odinala is knowing the Ofonogu, the balance of how to work with it, right? The laws of it. What are the cosmic laws of this power, of this ability? If you want to call it magic, if you want to call it science, all these different things, right? Science is there, magic is there, this is there, that is there. But the actual Odinala of it is what are the principles behind using this thing? How do I use this in a way that I maintain order, balance, and peace with myself and the entity I'm working with and so forth. So yeah, all of that is there. Absolutely. Magic is a big part of it. And, if you go to this tradition and do that and go to that tradition, do that, that's fine. But Odinala is clean hands, right? Wherever you're going, keep your hands clean. There's a lot of places you go and they're doing some goofy shit, right? Because we understand that, listen, that there are certain forces don't enter dirty rooms. Certain forces don't shake dirty hands. You understand? Certain forces don't listen to dirty words. So when you're engaging in those things, certain forces love dirty rooms. Certain forces love shaking dirty hands. Certain forces love dirty words. So who am I working with? That's what Odinala is, right? Do as you do what your spirit tells you to do, but have that understanding of the cause and effect and what's going on, and keep your hands clean because we're dealing with those that shake clean hands, right? If my parents are coming over, I clean up the house. I think most of us are like that, right? You clean up the house. Oh, somebody's coming over. Clean up. Same thing with my ancestors, right? And I mean this. When I'm saying this, I'm not talking about picking up toys and shit. I'm talking about spiritually. Should you know? Okay, where are we at? Should you know more about your ancestors before calling their name? Are there names of the ancestors you call? Okay. Should you know more about your ancestors before calling their name? Are there names of ancestors you should not call if you know nothing but their name? If you know their name, call them. If you know their name, call them. Right? It's not. I don't want us to get into a pattern of like grade, because it's like it's very American culture, like to grade shit. Okay, this ancestor is an A, so I'm definitely calling them. But this ancestor is an F. I'm not calling them at all. This is all you. They're all you. It's all part of your cosmic universe. That's why I got these fake ass stars up in the sky, right? They're all a part of they're all part of you. So as you're calling them, you're waking up different parts of you. You're waking up different parts of you. You're waking up different parts of you until you can walk with your full self, your ismes, right? So if you know their name, call them. It's sometimes just knowing their name, calling them, they'll teach you what you need to know about them. They'll teach you what they need. One ancestor revealed to me that he was short. Because most of the men in my family are tall, right? So one ancestor. But then I realized that all their wives, his wife was tall, and then my grandfather's wife was tall, and then they kind of balanced things out. So yeah, just random stuff, right? I didn't know that about him, but then and then this is why this story was interesting. And then one of my cousin, right? One of my cousins posted a picture of that ancestor's brother. He was a very short guy. I was like, oh shit. Like I feel like I've seen this guy before, right? That kind of thing. So, but it was revealed to me before I saw the picture. It was revealed to me before I saw. So, and all I knew was just to call the name. It's not a matter of, oh, how tall were you, whoop, 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 but just different. Sometimes it's funny stuff. Sometimes it's very important things. Sometimes it's things that are not important at all, right? So, I did my. But yeah, it was surprising because, like I said, most of the men in my family are very tall. Should you know more about your? Okay, all right, I'll do mine. Um, do you think, yeah, don't worry about, oh, this one was a good ancestor, this one was a bad ancestor. If you buried that ancestor and gave them a formal funeral, they're your ancestor. Okay? If you buried them and gave them a formal funeral, they are your ancestor. The ones, when we do this, we're talking about more that were not the that weren't buried properly, or they weren't given the full funeral and so forth, which they don't have something like that in American culture. So I'll do mine. Do you think there's a way to view the ideology of pre-Catholic Christianity through the lens of Igbo spirituality, like Romans did with Christianity? Oh yeah, Shanita. Oh yeah. No, we can have a conversation, Shanita. Message me on Patreon. I think you asked a question that I haven't answered yet, and I'm pretty sure you have the patience and understanding to know why I haven't answered yet. But I need to go back and look. I think I have a question or two pending from you that I have answered. But yeah, message me that same thing on Patreon if you want to talk about it, and we can go really deep. But yeah, you can absolutely view Christianity through the lens of Odinani. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But when I say it's the same thing, don't get it twisted, right? It's the same thing, but Christianity, Islam, the Abrahamic religions say only Okeagun is good and Arobinagun is evil. Okay? So they're not saying this doesn't exist and that doesn't exist. They're saying, yeah, we know that shit too, but all that shit's bad, all this shit's good. So originally, in Christian culture, if you went to the doctor and got medicine and got herbal medicine, medieval era, that kind of thing, you were seen as a heretic. You were seen as a heretic. If you got medicine, you were seen as a heretic. The color black is evil. The world, worldliness, we must escape the world. We're going to go to heaven and never come back to this world. We're just passing this world. World is evil. Earth is evil in Christianity, the Abrahamic thought, right? Earth is evil, right? Black is evil. Color black is evil. Evil, bad, right? Feminine, right? That's why in Islam, the woman's got a... the body wraps in Islam is the same thing in Christianity. They're the same religion, right? That's why nuns look the way they do. It's just that Muslims are more serious about what they're talking about. You understand? And they didn't have the history of like people kind of just like trying to like reclaim themselves from out of the Catholic yoke or whatever, trying to reclaim themselves, which we call the Enlightenment or the Renaissance, right? But absolutely, it's same general understanding of spirituality you see everywhere in the world. It's just how do we approach this is the difference. So in the Abrahamic, everything feminine. I'll give you a list of everything feminine as far as Odinani goes, or just universal spirituality, right? And all of it is considered evil in spirit. Python, the snake, right? The snake, evil. The bird, good. Snake, evil. Bird, good. You understand? But where I'm from, you can't kill a python. And if you accidentally kill, like if you run over a python with your car, you have to give that python a human burial. You understand? If you accidentally kill a python, you have to give it the burial of a human. You understand? But in the Abrahamic, it's evil. We have the same understanding of what that is. Now, what does the python, or I'm sorry, what does the snake do in Christianity? Right? Okay, let me tell you about this spirit known as Arobinago. Right? I don't know if those of you who've watched my Arobinago video explained, right? Arobinago is the consciousness of the universe and of the earth, of the feminine, right? Arobinago is the consciousness of the feminine. Arobinago comes to humans often by way of trees, right? The spirit of Arobinago exists in nature. Arobinago is also known as Muahia, the forest spirit, right? Arobinago is the spirit that when you become a Dibia, she's the one that teaches you this plant does this plant does this herb, this root does that, this is this one. That's what you learn to start listening to is Arobinago, right? Remember the Neago I spoke about before, the one that carries the powers. Arobinago is also known as Ako, which is like intellect, Ako, the type of wisdom that I'm transferring to you now and you guys are transferring to me. Akoko, right? Akoko. That's why Afa. When you do divination, Afa, it is known as Agadingwai na Akoko, the gossiping old woman, the woman that's exchanging Ako all the time. In Igbo culture, Akoko Ifo, which are folk tales, talk. If you become a titled man, you've embraced you don't tell folk tales. You understand? So y'all, I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna get all my folk tales out before I drop my get my title. You know what I mean? You don't tell. It's seen as unmanly. If you read the book Things Apart, e, why can't I remember his name? I want to call him a character from my book, but that's not who he is. The main character gets mad because he's like trying to be hyper masculine, right? And he gets mad that his son is listening to folk tales. Like, why are you listening to this woman talk, right? Akoko, right? But then also Ako it comes from the earth as well. The earth can give you Ako, just like the sky can give you Uche. Both of them send messages through you at all times, which gives you your consciousness, a double helix of consciousness. Ako na Uche. Okay? Listen to all the stuff I'm saying. Pay attention to all these details. Watch this, right? Ako, when, for example, now, if an Arishi of like the river, so on and so forth, has a message for you at home, I don't know about here, a python will very often, or a snake will appear to you physically or in a dream, right? That's why, okay, I'm being summoned, I'm being asked to go here. Okay, no problem, right? Okay, and so now go to Genesis, right? There's the tree. The tree gives them wisdom, right? The tree gives you wisdom. Don't eat that tree. Then the thing, which is a python, later becomes a python, some type of serpent-like creature appears and says, hey, eat this. That creature goes to the woman, to Eve. And I don't know the dialogue. Last time I tried to explain Gnosticism, I was mixing up the terms, right? But just the vibe, my vibe is correct. My terms may not be, you understand? And the vibe is what matters, right? So the python goes to the woman, says, eat from the tree, feminine, right? Receive the wisdom from the tree of wisdom, which is supposed to be a bad thing. And then she eats the wisdom, and then she becomes aware. She gets intellect. Before, they only had uche, what the father gave, what Chuku gave, or what we're calling Chuku in this tradition. I don't think it's Chuku. I think it's a damn demon, right? I think the Abrahamic religion, especially they're talking about some other shit. I don't think they're talking about Chuku. But this thing said A, which is sky-based, so it's Chuku-ish, right? A, don't eat the tree. Now, Chuku is not going to Igbo tradition. Chuku is not going to tell you don't engage with Ako. Don't be intellectual, right? So, like I said, earlier I said that Arobinago is ne-ogu, or medicine. So traditionally, I have this old Roman document, right? I'm going to share it in one of my videos. It's a document from the Romans, and it's talking about like the spreading of Christianity. And this guy is writing, He's annoyed by these Christians. He's kind of like being disparaging. And he says that they're so ignorant they refuse medicine. They think it's evil to take medicine. They think it's evil to bathe. They think it's evil to engage in anything that they consider worldly. They're like and that kind of thing, right? And so forth, right? So he was talking about that. It's just recently that the Christian world started saying, okay, fine, you can take medicine, that kind of thing. All so listen to all the things I listed that are associated with Arobinakum: divination, sin; medicine, sin; intellect, science; analyzing the world, sin; the tree, sin; the apple, sin; did I say the python? The serpent, sin; the woman, sin. Now I don't know what he told Eve. I think somebody. I think it was like she has to have painful birth or periods. I don't know, one of them, right? Like, you're gonna have this thing now, you know, that kind of thing, painful or something. I think painful birth. But either way, you understand that's a punishment. It's not a blessing to have that child. It's a punishment. You've been punished with having to have kids, right? And you hear how they talk about kids in the West, in these places that kind of have separated from it, but they haven't done the deep-rooted undigging of where these ideas are coming from, right? You hear how it's talked about. I hear it all the time. There was yeah, I heard somebody refer to other human as a breeder, right? That kind of thing. Like if a woman has a lot of kids in this culture, it's like she gets shamed. You understand where I'm from? She has a lot of kids, she's celebrated, right? Because her almomo, that's almomo is strong. It's doing its thing. You understand? So and plus, having children is not you can die. You can die. So this person took this risk to bring this person into the world 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 10 times, and now we're ridiculing. But all that, if you tie it back to where it's coming from, right? All that is negative, bad, feminine, bad, masculine. That's why you have to escape your body, escape, be the spirit, go up, go up. Up is good, down is hell is down, hell is the ground, it's bad, 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 up good, down bad. You understand? That's what that is, you know. That's what that is. So yeah, we can definitely do. You can easily cross compare like Christian shit and the other thing, but I try to stay away from that because people can be people are just waiting for me to mention some other tradition so they can just yeah, I knew it, and then just make that like start importing way too much of that in and not respecting what's going on here. But yeah, you can definitely do a cross comparison just for curiosity's sake. I'm in Nigeria. I've heard several versions of the name. I put so much effort into introducing myself as Chinelo these days, though. My grand uncle calls me Edinburgh. Okay, I'll do my yeah. My like I said, my cousin is named Edith. Her mom's named Edith, so she's like all about her mom, and she was very angry when she came to America. People were calling her Edith. Edith. When I first came, let me tell you guys, when I first came to, because I was born in America and then I went back home when I was like 3 or 4. So like my earliest memories, I always thought I was from my village, but I'm from, America, in that sense, right? And so I lived there and I moved back. And I remember one of the things that gave me culture shock was the TH sound, right? That shit used to, I was like, are you guys for real? Because, because spitting in public is very taboo in my culture, right? Spitting in public is very taboo, and sounds too close to spitting. It sounds too close. It's too salivish, right? If that's a word, there's too much saliva involved, and so yeah. So that the sound was a culture shock for me, and so all these words that I thought were like Edith, or it's actually Edith, that kind of thing. So I did my. I remember I didn't understand the word. I could speak English when I came back, but there were certain words like in different places. Like if you said latrine as a 7-year-old in Nigeria, they would know exactly what you're talking about. But if you said that to an American, they think you're like a Harvard level genius, right? But like I remember underneath used to sound nasty to me. Underneath, I remember I had a hard time differentiating ignore and annoy. Ignore and annoy used to confuse me when I was like in second grade, when I was like relearning American English, right? Ignore and annoy. You understand? Those two used to confuse the hell out of me. Link to your Patreon, please. Can somebody post the link to the Patreon. I'm not, I don't know how to type and be live at the same time. But Angel, the babe, my Patreon or our Patreon is patreon.com/the medicine show. If you are in Nigeria, email me because they don't allow people in Nigeria to use Patreon, which whatever. Do you think the internet is representative of a particular Abara? In Igbo cosmology, many Abara are involved, but the internet definitely has like a Udide or Kanka, which is also Agu. And what's funny is Udide or Kanka is Agu at the highest level, right? Is the universal Agu, the repairer of the universe, that type of thing. But it was actually it was somebody on Patreon that taught me this. You understand? It came to him. It came to him and he's like, hey, is this a thing? And I'm like, I've never heard it. I don't think so. He's like, yo, I really think this is what's going on. He explained exactly how Udide Okanka is actually Agu. You understand? And then I saw a figurine of Agu and I noticed, oh, two hands, two legs, two hands, two legs. That's a spider. That's an eight-legged spider. And then if you listen to like Odachi Nebe, the story of creation, you'll see how the spider is the repairer. The spider is the one fixing the mess. The spider is the one sewing together the broken cords and connecting things and so forth. I was like, oh, okay. And then you start seeing how the spider is regarded in Ghanaian culture and I think Akan culture, right? As the wise one. The one that's so wise, sometimes he uses that wise for evil. Just like Agu, you understand? Just like Agu. I actually tell a story in my next video about Agu it shows the darker side of Agu in my next story, in my next video. But yeah, so the internet has an Udide Okanka nature, which is an Agu nature, and it deals almost exclusively in Ako, which is Arobinago. Um, the internet does not deal with Uche per se. The people who use the internet deal with Uche, but Ako to use info, intellect, data, information, exchanging back and forth. That's why the internet and Afa divination are based on the same principle of binary code: open, close, light, dark, 2 1. In English they say 0 1, and in Igbo we say 2 1 2 1 2 1, right? Um, and so forth. So that's why, like, when they do divination, they'll do like 2 dots, 1 dot, 2 dot, 1 dot, that kind of thing. So, which, by the way, guys, I've been learning. So I'm about to start doing readings, y'all. I'm actually kind of excited. But yeah. So that's my breakdown of the internet as far as Igbo cosmology goes. So I was intrigued when you mentioned seeing exactly who your son was. Okay, yeah, Rose. So yeah, I felt it. You feel it. Like I felt it. When you're around people, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, but when you're around people, you feel whatever energy, whatever we call it energy, the more the spirit that's like they are emitting, that they're letting out, you feel it, right? You feel it. There's some like yeah, you just feel it. There's some people like, when they say a person has presence, right? They walk in the room like, okay, who's that guy? Who's that person, right? Like my dad has a lot of presence. You understand? Like anytime I walk with my dad, people like turn like, who's that guy? That kind of thing, and so forth. This is more. He has a lot of more. The thing that, or the nature of his more, will make you do that. The nature of some people's more makes you back up. But once you start understanding that what people are emitting is a major part of them, just as much as their hands are and their face and so forth, and you start paying attention to that, your interaction with this is entirely different. That was actually one of the reasons I said that omenala is something you do, right? This is something you do. It's not something you can sit and talk about it, which we do, right? But it's really something you do. So I can describe the more of water to you. I can talk to you about Nemiri has this nature and she's that way. Or you can go to a river and tell me what you're feeling. And we'll say the exact same thing if I'm being truthful and you're being truthful, right? When you look at a lot of ancient cultures, they have these deities. They have deities like Zeus and Hera and Gaia and all these different things, right? And they have these specific descriptions of their personality and their nature. This, we're talking about more spirit. These things have been felt, have been felt. So when they tell you that Nemiri is peaceful, when they tell you that specifically Nemiri's husband Udo is peaceful, that it's a feeling of peace, right? And then you take a shower and you feel that peace, or you take a bath and all of a sudden you feel that peace, or you go to the beach and you feel that peace. You are doing the Odinala, which is that makes it Omenala, right? It's not because I told you that Nemiri has this nature that you should believe me. Go take a shower and you'll feel it. Drink a cup of water. You're tired today. You drink water, all of a sudden this, right? You get in a bath. A child is in the womb in water. They kick, they do whatever, but for the most part, they're months. They're still months. Then the water breaks and it's chaos. Right? That kind of then the ripping and everything happens. All that shit that Genesis, that curse of having kids, that starts happening. And it has a different nature than resting in a womb. What's this? Joe Rogan keeps talking about these damn cold. Yeah, you take a cold plunge, you take a cold bath, you take a whatever. But if you tell them, hey, Miri, water has this particular spirit, they might think, oh, that's your belief or that's your culture. That's your no. You not only know this, but you use this in your life. You understand? So in order for Odinala to click, you have to look at what it does in your life. The rising sun has an awakening nature. It's not because I believe Anyanwu likes to wake people up. It's because when Anyanwu emerges, everything in creation starts waking up. The rooster makes its noise, the birds make their noise, everything starts just because the spirit, Anyanwu Nabaraya, the spirit that Anyanwu lets out wakes everybody up. That kind of thing. And then you look at how it accidentally slips into language. When you're awakened, you're enlightened. You understand? Oh, I'm enlightened, right? You see when in cartoons, when somebody gets an idea, a light bulb goes off, right? You see in a lot of spiritual systems, especially like in Eurasia, whenever they reach that higher spiritual level, all of a sudden a light is coming from the back of their head. We know these things. We understand these things on a level of more. We understand these on a level of spirit, right? And so when a person is not spiritual, right, there's a disconnect between the spirit and everything else they're doing. So the spirit will say, the sun has an awakening nature, and then for some reason this one pulls back. I need to read a book about it to see if it's really true, right? I need to cite your sources, that kind of thing. So that's what we're telling you. That's why I'm telling you these things are real. We can't access Patreon from Nigeria. We need help. Yeah, so anything beneficial on the internet, they try to block Nigeria from because the West is scared of Nigeria, is deeply, deeply afraid of Nigeria. It is deeply afraid of Nigerian youths. It does not want you guys involved in anything pertaining that can be beneficial. I think TikTok's the only platform you can monetize from Nigeria. And the Nigerian kids are making a killing. They're doing amazing, right? And they don't like that. They're going to say, oh, 419, woo, but we're not even like top 4 and like top 5 for scams, right? India can get on. I think India's number 1. And then Russia's number 2. Russians can do all that shit, right? So that's not what it's about. Don't ever think that's what it's about. But I'll find a way around it. And I've been looking, and I keep saying I'm going to open like a YouTube membership. So let me make sure that's done by the end of this week, okay? And if I don't remember somebody, but if YouTube membership doesn't allow Nigeria, then I'm not going to do it. But if YouTube membership does allow Nigeria, I'll just use that as the Patreon for people in Nigeria. If that makes sense, right? Is Ekbe Society affiliated with Ake? But yeah. So Ekbe is same thing, spirit, right? Also leopard in a lot of those like cross river languages. But what Ekbe is or for the initiation into that society, they put you into a forest, right? The Ekbe forest, and you do not emerge until you see the Ekbe spirit, which is, I believe, is said to have 7 heads, right? So you do not emerge until you see the Ekbe spirit from that forest. So you can be in there for days by yourself, just waiting for it, that kind of thing. I think you fast as well. I'm not an Ekbe, that kind of thing, but yeah, it's the same thing. It's related. But Ekbe more referred like that term. Ekbe is more so like it's like a cross rivers region word, right? But like they have Okonko, which is the same thing, but it's like the Igbo language one. What's your opinion on Ufo being made of wood? My dad was suggested I use a plastic plate for my understanding and hazardous. Hold on. Okay, my dad has suggested I use a plastic plate, but my understanding of using a hazardous material won't let me. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna know what you want to do, and you're gonna know what's right. I don't use I don't use RG with plastic because plastic's very gross to me, right? Plastic's very gross to me. I feel like in Nigeria they act like plastic is like a luxury thing. But in America, plastic is garbage. You understand? Like it's like if something is plastic and something's made of wood, the thing made of wood will cost 50 times more. You understand? 100 times more than the one made of plastic, right? But for some reason, in Nigeria, it's not like that. I think people think plastic is like modern, right? So it's a very 1970s kind of mentality as far as America goes. But yeah, no, I don't use plastic for to give Anchi. I don't use plastic to give Anchi. I feel like there's just too much blood on plastic. There's too much because it's coming from oil, and if you can find me a place where oil is being extracted in an ethical way, then I'll send you a cookie. But this you can't. Um, but oil. What's the other one? No, no, yeah. So yeah, it's just nasty. I don't like plastic. And then it doesn't biodegrade. It's just there's nothing going on. Has all of it had most of it has like a hazardous material sign on it. Probably a lot of the ones they're sending in Nigeria to make people not be fertile, knock wink wink, and so forth. A lot of the banned plastics, plastic they don't use here in America anymore. They don't use them it's illegal. They send over Sniper, that bug spray. It's banned in every state in America except Texas and another one because Texas doesn't have laws. Texas is Texas is it's Nigeria, right? But Sniper, they give you Sniper in Nigeria. Like all those things, they mess you up as a human being, right? They mess you up. They kill you slowly. So, but they'll send them over there. And niggas just trust. Oh, okay, I trust you. So, but yeah, yeah, I use wood because that makes more sense to me. And also, wood, agon, arobin agon. There's a connection. Have you ever researched VPN? Yes, Odugo. If you're in Nigeria and you're trying to get on Patreon, you can also use Odugo, you're so smart. You can use a VPN. You can use a VPN. Try to use a VPN to get on Patreon. I'll work out something. I'll figure something out.
Are you ready?
No, not yet.
Is it okay if I can hang out a little?
Sure. Bachuzo. Um, Bachuzo.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Actually, I kind of want to stay downstairs.
Okay, no problem. Just Bachuzo. Ekwensu, Amadioha are the same. What of Kamalu? Ekwensu, Kamalu, Amadioha, Haninebuotsu. They're all one. They're all one, right? They're all manifestations of something called Ogu. Now, when people use one name or another, they're referring to a specific nature of that energy, right? A specific nature of that Abara, right? So, just like maybe your parents call you one name and your friends call you another, and you act this way with your parents, you act that way with your friends just because of the nature of life and how the world works. So the same energy will be called different things for different reasons. But if you go to different communities, like some people say, oh, we don't believe in Amadioha, we believe in Equins, it's the same thing. And you tell them to describe it, they'll say the same thing. They'll all say the same thing, right? But typically, if somebody embraces all of them and then starts now talking, Amadioha is more, when they're describing Amadioha, it's more of like the heroic nature of that energy, the ebubedike nature of that energy. Hey, Siberia, thank you so much. She said, Siberia, I appreciate you. Anabia. So the ebubedike nature, like Amadio has the Igwe now, the leader, right? Ekwensu is the warrior. It's the same energy. It's the same energy, right? It's the same energy. So if you look at, for example, now, if you look at like traditionally a young man will go through different phases in life, and one phase in the as far as age grade goes is that they're going to receive their Ikenga, their warrior Ikenga, and then they'll become a part of the community's military, so they're going to be a warrior. And then after that phase in life, they'll grow and they'll become a titled man, a leader in the community, a patron of the community, an overseer, somebody that's make sure everything's going well and is that kind of thing. So the warrior Ekwensu, Amadioha, kind of the older, more fatherly kind of thing, but the warrior becomes the father and so forth. It's the same thing, right? It's the same person. But if I live if I live in the U.S. August 28th, what action do I take to support Biafra? You say Siberia. As of right now, I would try to find, they have chapters in your town. I would maybe try to contact a chapter in your town, especially because I know you, I know where you stay or where you stayed in the past tense. There's definitely one there. But I'm not in communication with anybody who's in the movement as of right now. Um, as of right now. So there's that, and then there's contribute. Every now and then they'll do like fundraising contributions for different things. You can also be a part of that. You can follow Simon Etba. You can follow my boy Simon Etba on Twitter, and he'll let you know he's the leader, the de facto leader right now. He'll let you know when there's fundraising going on and so forth. So yeah, thank you. Okay, good question. Damn, y'all. All right. I took it. Powerful. This is true. Wow. Where's the oath taken? Okay, I'm trying to remember when I mentioned an oath. Oh, as far as it's just wherever you get initiated, wherever you do your initiation. So to become a Debia, there's an initiation. So part of that initiation, like, so people use different terms for it. Irago, if you say Irago, that's the most universal term, which is just working with Agun. Some DBOs will say you have to bring down your chi. It's the same thing, right? It's just invite your Agun and have dinner, talk. Let's negotiate. Let's make a pact that we're gonna live this way, right? I am this certain person. I'm going to move in the direction that I'm supposed to move with these abilities and with these gifts and that kind of thing. And then you lead the way, or and I'll listen. If I step left, you step left with me. If you step right, I'll step right with you. So that oath is taken wherever you do your initiation, where you swear on awful, and then from there you kind of keep it alive by regularly returning to it, and doing e-golfo, what they call e-golfo, becoming one with the awful. E-golfo, I don't want to give a big breakdown right now, but I will say this. To do e-golfo, the fundamental is this. You're showing how clean your hands are. I have not my hands are clean, my feet are clean. When I say my hands are clean, it means I have not touched anything I'm not supposed to touch. I have not used my hands to desecrate my awful, desecrate my pact, desecrate my oath, desecrate my gift, desecrate my chi, desecrate my ancestors. I have not used my hands to do that. I have not used my feet to go where they don't belong, to go places that desecrate, so on and so on and so forth. So you're just saying, I have not done this, I have not done this, I have not done this, I have not done that, I have not done that, right? Some people add some ginger at the end and they say, if anybody's trying to do this to me, may that happen to them first. If anybody's trying to do this, you protect yourself with the awful, that kind of thing. So the awful is literally meaning to become one with the awful, to fetch the awful, to get the awful, right? And you just renew that pact by doing golful, right? So I always use the example of the 42 laws of Ma'at. I don't remember numbers. I don't remember numbers times and locations, or names, numbers, times, and locations. I just don't, just again, just catch my vibe. Don't listen to the words, right? So, um, what was I gonna say? Anyways, yeah, that's Igolfo. I'll do more. Oh yeah, 42 Laws of Ma'at. So 42 Laws of Ma'at, there's this thing in Kemet. It was like on a, I think on a tablet or on a wall or something. And it was a person saying, I have not stolen, I have not done this, I have not done that, I have not done this, I have not done that. And that's Igolfo. That person was doing Igolfo. Now people think that it's like, oh, these are like the 10 commandments of being an Egypt religion guy, right? And that's not what that was. That was that person doing his own Igolfo or her own Igolfo, whoever wrote it, right? Their only golf. This is a wise man. Thanks, Raj. I appreciate you. Infinity. I appreciate. I don't know what that was about. I appreciate it. Oath of principle. Where therein lies our power. You say it is the principle that is the power. It is the principle that is the power. I think the young youth call it standing on business, right? What business are you standing on? From the business you stand on, your powers are allocated, right? From the business you stand on, your powers are allocated. People are always like, I talk to my ancestors, I do, yeah, like, yeah, that's good. Just maintenance, that's good. When you start doing the extraordinary thing, that's when you start seeing extraordinary results, right? If you do the extraordinary thing, you start seeing the extraordinary works. Let me not say results, works. You understand, right? But that is not possible without principle, because your esmes, the things moving with you, many of them, the highest of them, move on principle. They move on principle. And principle is a real element of the universe. Principle is an unmovable element of the universe, right? If somebody holds I'm trying to find all these little censor words you guys got, pew pew, to your head and goes, give me my wallet. I'm not advising anybody. Don't say the guy with the little skylight thing on YouTube told me to go get shot, right? But somebody else just saying, if somebody holds a gun to your head, hey, give me your, and you say no, right? Or hey, do this, go over there and go in there and rob them. No. That's the end of it. That's principle, right? That's what principle is. Now people will try to take you off your principle using uh different spirits, right? Spirit of fear, the spirit of inadequacy, the spirit of doubt, the spirit of uncertainty, the spirit of greed. They use these things. They pump it into the system. They're active in the system to assure that you can be pivoted off principle, because principle is stronger than all those things. And principle is really annoying if you're trying to control a person, right? Principle is really annoying if you're trying to control a person. So you pump all these things in them to shake them off. Bad food. Bad food. If you don't, I'm talking about all these very esoteric things, but fundamentally, if you are not minerally equipped to stand on principle, you can't stand on no principle. If your diet is inadequate for strain and struggle, you can't really stand on it. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. There's an ilu that says, a hungry man does not give sacrifices. A hungry man does not give sacrifices. So you can interpret that as you wish. Aquarius, I'll be storm. Equinsu scares the irk out of me. Yeah, Equinsu is supposed to scare you. Equinsu is supposed to scare you. There's nothing wrong with that. Ekwensu is the Abara ndị Abara na-asọ. The Abara ndị Abara na-asọ. Bu Abara ndị Abara na-asọ. The Abara that is feared by the Abara. Mmụọ ndị mmụọ na-asọ. The spirit that is feared by the spirits. Ekwensu is supposed to scare you, right? But again, there's a part of that masculine energy that actually has to be scary. You understand? And, it's not something... it's the masculine energy has to be scary, right? It's good for it to be. It's not a bad thing for it to be scary. You understand? It's not a bad thing for it to be scary, right? Women like scary ass men. You know, you get all these things on the internet. You know, everybody wants to yap and yap about relationships. You know, oh, they like thugs, right? All these different things, but the masculine energy is the world rewards the masculine for it being scary. As crazy as that sounds, you understand? For as crazy as that sounds, the least scary, the worse. So yeah, Quincy is supposed to be very scary. It's a concentrated version of that energy. Amadioha is supposed to be scary. All these things are supposed to be scary. We embrace that. That's fine. When they have like Ekeleke, they have two Ekeleke that come out at the same time, right? Or let me do O from where I'm from. O, even though I'm about to get one of my pet peeves, right? So they do O, right, which is a masquerade from where I'm from. And there's O that everybody watches, the one that wears the white cloth and it has this dance. It's a feminine dance, but men do it, and dance that kind of thing. And then they have another one called Okurusha. They come out at the same time. Okurusha means like man from the source or the source man, the original man, right? Original man, Okurusha is long and dark and black, you understand, and has a bunch of things that you can't decipher on its chest. And like when I was little, you know, the Okurusha dude, they used to have a sword, and they if Okurusha is coming, you run, or you run, you get out of the way, it can hit you. You understand? You can get hurt. It's scary, right? A lot of like I have a lot of people in my community, as far as the Patreon, the village, are from the Caribbean. They talk about John Canoe and like things like that. How when the masquerades come out, they like they'll beat you, like they'll chase you. It becomes very chaotic and scary and that kind of thing, right? That every all the masculine ones do that at home. They're scary. They're supposed to be scary. It's natural. You understand? But yeah, Okurusha used to Okurusha can hurt back in the day. But well, I was gonna do a little, but like now they're a little more chill. You know, they dance more and that kind of thing. Of course, it dances, it'll dip its head down low, dip its head down low, then it'll throw its head up like this, throw its head up like this, that kind of thing. But like, let's say it's walking forward, you get in its way. There's a bunch of videos online of people running from masquerades. Yo, if you want to see real African comedy, come during masquerade season and watch masquerades chase people. That is the funniest shit on earth. And the speed that somebody reaches when masquerades are chasing them, it's different. It's different. It's different. It's different. The speed they reach when masquerades are chasing them is different. If Allah is Igwe's counterpart, Arobinagon is Okango's counterpart, would Amadioha's female counterpart be Afifia Namborogon? Okay, where are we going? So, Ala Igwe, yes, you're correct. Arobinagon Okango, you're correct. And then you're saying Amadioha's female. Amadioha and Igwe are interchangeable. They're the same thing. That's okay. I was trying to remember. Amadioha and Igwe are interchangeable. They're the same thing. You understand? Like I said, Amadioha, Ekwensu, Igwe. Some places they'll say Anyangu, right? They're all exchangeable, interchangeable. So Amadioha is still Allah. But if you want to be extra technical, and I think you can see where I'm going with this, Amadioha, Okeago, same thing. So Amadioha, Arobinago. That's actually the comparing. Because if we want to be specific about what Arobinago is, it is the consciousness, of Earth. If you want to be very specific about what Amadioha is, it is the consciousness of Igwe, of sky. But the consciousness of Derek is also Derek. You understand? The consciousness of you is also you. So that's why I'm saying it's the same thing. So Amadioha Arobinago makes sense. But some people just say Arobina or Amadioha Allah. You understand? Or that kind of thing. Like earlier I said Agun is Amadioha is Agun Igwe. You understand? Amadioha, Ekwensu, Anyanwu are all the ones that hold the Ofo. They hold the Ofo. They have laws, yes. Wow, no wonder we click. Aquarius understands Aquarius. Okay, cool. My son's an Aquarius. This is high science. Raj, I appreciate it. Udodi. Udodi. Yes, it is. The highest. Please go spend quality time with your listen, listen. I've been working from home for a good 88% of his life, right? Them kids see enough of me. I need some space. I need some damn space. That's why I'm in this room. That's why I'm in this room. My daughter used to be all about her mom. She's now switched sides. And then my son, he's always been about dad. So if they sense that I have peace in my life, they'll just come and start climbing on my face and jumping. And my daughter does this thing where, like, if I'm looking, if she sees me looking at my phone, like, she'll take my head and point it at her. So I'm trying to live. I'm trying to live. My wife is on defense right now. You understand? And so I'm trying to run a play. Clean your hands, yes. And then also literally, so this topic of this is omenala bunyine meme. Omenala is something you do, right? So when you go to your altar, when you speak to your ancestors, when you speak to Chukwu, when you wake in the morning, clean. Don't just say akam diocha, my hands are clean. Don't just say my hands are clean because you're running your mouth because you believe or you've been doing the clean principles. Literally wash your hand. Literally wash your hands. In the traditional medicine class, a couple of students, Chidi, you might remember this. There was when we were studying Afa, there was a word like oblation. I can't remember how to say it, but it's basically like washing yourself ritually, that kind of thing. So like washing your hands, washing your face. Like before I go to my altar, I'll wash my hands, I'll wash my face. I mean, I brush my teeth, but I also gargle water and spit it. And then I'll like scrub the bottom of my feet, or I'll just go right after I take a shower, right? And then I'll say, hey, I'm clean. And I don't just mean it because I've been acting good. I'm literally clean. The literal cleanliness is real. It has meaning. It has meaning. If you don't believe cleanliness has a spiritual whatchamacallit, right? You'll see how you'll see behaviors between when someone's clean and when someone's not. Now, some of our ideas about what's clean and what's not clean are warped, right? They're not like sincere, they're not real, right? It's just kind of like extreme germophobia, things like that. That's not what I mean by clean, right? But like, okay, as you see, clean is the way my hands are what they say they are. That's clean. My hands are what they say they are, right? So if I grab something and I hand it to you, okay, you know that you can take it from me, you won't have a problem, right? But if I got something on it and you're also going to receive what I have on it. Are you understanding what I'm saying? If I have been dipping my hands in fecal matter all day and you go, hey, I'm kind of hungry. I'm like, here, take this apple. And I hand you this apple. You are eating every single thing I touched when you eat this apple that came from my hand. So when I go to my ancestors and I'm holding Aji and I'm giving an offering or I'm speaking and so on and so forth, my hands are clean because whatever dirtiness I put on myself physically and spiritually, there's no difference. I'm also transferring onto them, right? If somebody gives you something on a dirty plate, you're eating that thing. There's an ilu that says a maggot that falls in fish soup is fish soup. A maggot that falls in fish soup is fish soup. That's an ilu, an ancestral saying, right? That kind of thing. I'll do more. Understand because the effect duality thing. Yes, okay, I'll do more. This reminds me of the cosmology of the Donsu hunters of Mali. Absolutely. I believe it. I believe it. Cosmology built on righteousness. Yes, yes, 100%. You say. One of the things that the world will try to convince you, and I mean the world like people, right? One of the things that contemporary culture will try to convince you that ideas like justice are concepts that come from humans. Justice is a concept that exists in nature. Justice is real in nature. It exists. It's a part of nature like carbon dioxide. It's a part of nature like mercury. It's a part of nature, a damn tree, right? Justice is a physical, it's a real part of it. It exists in nature. From this element of justice, you get a universe that works towards equilibrium, right? If you only want to look at things in a secular way, you see equilibrium happening in nature. You see things balancing. You see the idea of cause and effect existing in nature, right? This is one of the manifestations of the concept of justice. And it doesn't just end in that physical, it carries on in different places and so forth, right? So these principles are real. They're real. When we visit our grandpas growing up, we used to always sweep the compound in the mornings and evenings. Yes, I did this enthusiastically as something my aid because my grandma said so. Wait, as something we must abide by. Because yes, yes, in the morning you sweep the entire compound. And in the morning, you sweep the entire compound, especially or specifically the women, right? You sweep the entire compound. It's the same thing as cleaning your hands. It's the same thing as cleaning your face. It's the same thing as being clean morally, keeping all full. Then there's also the physical cleanliness of the home. So yes, at home every morning, everything is swept. Everything is swept. You notice that everything traditional, and this is why people always say, "Oh, our ancestors they didn't have computers and all that." Everything traditional, look at how it's made. Like look at how it's interacted with, and then look at the modern stuff. Right? That's the gap I would love to help close because again, you go to the village every morning. The woman of the house will come and just sweep the whole thing. You'll see the compound will just and she'll sweep outwards. There's a reason she's sweeping outwards. You understand? The pattern she's sweeping. Maybe she might not even know, but she saw her mom doing it. And that one and that one and that one and that one. But then when you go to your altar and you ask an elder, okay, how do I clean my altar? They say sweep outwards, sweep outwards, sweep outwards. Okay. So yeah, these are cosmic principles. These are principles. That's abra, abra, outward shining, more, right? But look at the way those things, and then look at how the modern things are maintained. Because then they'll say, "Oh, Nigeria has a maintenance culture, a bad maintenance culture." Kinda. But again, let's take those things we were doing traditionally and apply it to the modern. We always feel like it has to be either or. We have to like shut the door, right? Okay, yes, you sweep this every, but then for some reason the road, you can just throw whatever the hell on the road and so be it. You understand? So yeah. The modern road, though, the traditional footpath road, they still sweep it. You understand? So, but anyways, this is like insider talk. Loaded Q. How much of old spirituality are we posed to awaken? In Africa slash Igbo land, kings were buried with people. What do you think? What do you think of this line of thinking? Ubulu Mudo. Hey, Ubulu, kiddo. Yeah, which one of my ancestors? Um, my probably honestly probably all my ancestors like my first like when I made my ancestors first three when they were buried they were also buried with people were buried with them enemies that kind of thing they were all buried with them, right? Yeah, I'm cool on that. We don't need to do all that. We don't need to do all that. We don't need to do all that. There's this thing too that we do where it's like, again, it's that either or mentality. And I respect it and I understand it, right? But the ways our ancestors interacted with their understanding of the world changed with time. We always like in Africa we have this idea that it was static and then colonialism happened, then things started changing. That didn't happen. That's not what it was, right? It was always changing with time, and as new understandings come, new practices come. Now, one of the issues is when I say this, people want to be slaves, not just Nigeria, just all over the world, all over the world. People want to be slaves and goofy so bad that it gives them license to go do silly shit, right? So and so but whatever, go do whatever you got. It's ugazi, so have fun, right? But it's not that I'm here to just mimic my ancestors 100%. I'm not in the act of mimicking. My ancestral understanding is beyond adequate to allow me to navigate the modern world successfully, happily, fruitfully, right? My ancestral understanding is enough to do that. I'm very deliberate in wearing t-shirts when I do this, right? I'm very deliberate about that. Even to turn this light on, even this all this fancy stuff, right? This is kind of a different direction from what I usually do, right? Because again, Odinala, it's not mimicking your ancestors. That's not what it is. You understand? If you understand that, like for example, now if my son and my daughter are doing Odinala, right? I don't need them to act like me. I don't need them to, talk with their hands and, turn on the little light when they go live and that kind of thing, right? My son has games he likes to watch, or yeah, literally games he likes to watch on YouTube and things like that. I don't get them. He doesn't need to mimic the cartoons I was watching as a little kid. He doesn't get my cartoons, right? That kind of thing. It's not about mimicking. Take the principle, use the principle and operate in the world. That's what your ancestors did. So if you look at, there's a video called Daylight in Udi or Daylight in Udi. They're all wearing chieftaincy hats. They have like a village meeting, and they're all wearing chieftaincy hats. But the chieftaincy hats they were wearing were safari hats. Those like British safari hats, right? They're British safari hats. Before they were British safari hats, they were something else. Today they're red caps, right? The obu is it or obuago, that too, right? You understand? It's not about mimicking the hat. It's like, what does that thing? This hat is a symbol of something. So it doesn't really matter what hat I use to represent it. Ojuku himself said he'll never wear a red cap because, to honor all of he said he's honoring the young men that died in Biafra, like during the war, who will never get a chance to wear a red cap. So he said he himself is never going to wear it. He's not going to wear it. Like you'll find pictures of him where he had to wear it and that kind of thing or whatever. But generally, most of the time you see Ojuku, he's wearing a black cap, right? That kind of thing. But he understands what that hat means, and then with that meaning, he can now operate deliberately and intentionally, right? I understand what this UFO means. And then with this meaning, I can operate deliberately and intentionally. Okay, I don't use plastic because but this person uses plastic because yada, 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 right? The Odinala is not mimicry. So I have ancestors who were buried with other human beings, right? When they died because they were super warrior kind of individuals, right? And when they died, they said, let's I tell you, that was some damn atrocities, man. But this is the ancient history, right? One of them, okay, let me not go into details, right? Okay, maybe I'll tell the story on Patreon. All right, so we have a group study on Patreon. Come tomorrow and remind me. I'll tell you this very ghastly story about one of my ancestors, right? But I don't need to do that in the modern world, right? Because that's his time, that's his story. I got my own chapter, my own page in the story that I'm going to do, right? So, and then people always do this like, oh, but your ancestors did insert something that you're supposed to disagree with. So you have to just throw everything out. Okay, yeah, go ahead, throw everything out. Go throw everything out. That's why there's no garbage disposal in this whole fucking country. You threw away the capacity to, like, the thing you had to think about that. You understand? Throw it out. Go ahead, throw it. See if this shit's gonna keep working for you. You understand? Because you don't know what in America they say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You understand, right? So I don't need to be buried with people. I'll do be buried, but I understand why they did it. I understand why that person did it back then, right? I understand. I get it. It's called shock and awe. Deep. Okay, cool. Question 2. Biko, difference between Christianity and, I guess, they to me are just symbols of man's place subject to a higher power. No. Odinala is more than being subject to a higher power. Odinala is way, way, way more than being subject to a higher power. Because there's more to life than being subject to a higher power, right? There's also how you interact with whatever is on the same level as you, right? There's also your interaction with the earth. And then when you say higher power, what are we talking about? We're just talking about Chuku, Akwea, not Allah, not Nemiri, right? You'll keep drinking the water and extracting from her and taking from her and using her, right? And marine spirits are evil. You'll be in the shower talking about no more marine spirits. You understand? right? Maybe you were younger, you used to swim in the river. No marine spirits, no fucking marine spirits. Marine spirits are evil, right? So no, it's not like Christianity at all. Christianity is like if Odinala is like Earth, and Christianity is like a like like a grain of sand in the earth. It's like a grain of sand. Now I can say this sand is Earth. Okay, yeah, sure, but it's not the Earth. Okay, and Odinala keeps growing and expanding and grow and as under revelation is coming to people at all times, constantly, 24/7, right? Odinala is as the universe is, as the world is, as the land is, right? Christianity is behave like Jesus. It's two different things, right? Two different things. They're not the same, right? Now, earlier I said that like yeah, you can use Odinala to if you use Odinala, you'll understand Christianity better. It'll make more sense. Like, oh, that's why that is. Oh, that's why that's. But then the well, what I'm speaking of, is a far deeper well. And I'm not saying this out of bias. I'm not saying this out of bias, right? You can believe I do. I don't care. You know what I mean? Experience this regularly. Hi, what do you know about the people who are from water? In spiritual sense, according to Igbo culture, some people, forces that may be people who are from water. So this is what I'm going to tell you. If you want to know about people who are from water, go to a body of water and sit still. And everything you feel, that's who they are. Does that make sense? Go to a body of water and sit still. And what you feel, that's what they are. If you want to know people who are from earth, take your hands, put it in the earth. Go garden. Touch the earth, touch the soil. Garden, grow something, right? Go grow something. And when you feel, that's who they are. If you want to know about people, from Eke, on a very dark night, light a fire. Sit around a campfire. It doesn't feel like the water. It doesn't feel like digging through the earth, right? Nkwo, wind. If you know about people from Nkwo, breathe and let it out. That's what that is, okay? But people who are from water, without being too abstract, um, uh, they kind of like march to the beat of their own drum. They're like I don't want to say this in a disparaging way, but they're kind of like harmless. Like they're not it's not that they're good people universally. Some are what you can call good, some are what you can call bad, but they're not they're they're just chill. They're not chill. Okay, no, they're not chill. Okay, people from water. There's an ilu that, let me, best way to say that, water has no enemy, right? Water has no enemy, right? So at the same time, you don't build on water, right? So people people who are from water, how do I explain this? How can I explain this? People who are from water are why human culture is enjoyable. Let me put it that way. That's why they bring the things that are enjoyable about human culture, right? And that joy, the joy of life tends to be the more important thing for them. Right? It's not a bad thing, you understand, right? It's not a bad thing. Very charming, either from how they look, how they present themselves, how they speak, or their general presence. Calming, creative, um, mischievous, maybe. Like they just have their own rules that they're going by. So it's not really like maybe it's mischievous to your rules, but to them, that's just what it's gonna be, right? That kind of thing, So very common. If you know anything about like Obanje is like an extreme version of Omomiri water people. And then I say creative. Omomiri are also like when they go into things like commerce, like commercial things, business, and that kind of thing, they usually do very well. They usually do very well, but they're not driven by like status. They're not status driven, right? So a lot of the way business is framed is like you got to be status driven. They're good at it, but they're not status driven, right? And so forth. So I'll do We all have a main force that governs us, yes. Is there a YouTube channel called Let's Talk Religion that I think you might like? Yeah, I know that Let's Talk Religion. It's a bunch of videos about Gnosticism. I was like, yeah, no, I'm either subscribed, like, there's a very high chance I'm subscribed, but I get their videos all the time, right? They did one on New Age, I think, recent, maybe. Is that, that whole MCU, I know some of them. We actually collaborated on a project a while back where the project was a bunch of creators that talk about like spirituality and religion and history. And there was a prompt. The prompt was, I can't remember what the prompt was, but my answer to the prompt was I made a documentary on high life music. And the thing was called South of the Sahara. So it was like Africa focused as well. People did different things. Like I know a good friend of mine. I'll call him a good friend. A good friend of mine. He read Mask. He was talking about like I think I want to say he was talking about masks. Some people was talking about like boats, like naval culture, African naval culture, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I focused on high life music, history of high life music, because it's a lot of fascinating stuff there, you know. But it's really a history of like a modern history of Igbo people. So if you're interested in that, go check out my history of high life video. I put my back into that video. I put my damn back. I didn't sleep for 2 days doing that one. It's a personal favorite of mine. Uh, the Bible, so practicing this spirituality is the ancient ways that Christianity borrowed and stole from, more or less. Christianity is like, yes, this is what's going on, and it's like almost like you take sand from the beach and you try to make a castle. You understand? So you cannot say that the beach and the castle are the same thing. The beach is the source. The beach is the source. The castle does not exist without the beach. On top of that, the castle on that beach is a sliver of the experience because the castle doesn't have the water. In fact, to the castle, the water is a bad thing because if that water arrives, the structure of the castle falls apart, right? But I'm going to the beach to enjoy the castles being built, to enjoy the sand, to enjoy the seagulls, to enjoy the wind, to enjoy the sun, to enjoy the water, all of it, right? So they're not comparable whatsoever. They're not comparable whatsoever at all. Like if you understand Odinal, you'll know why Christians are doing what they're doing. But you cannot understand Christianity and understand Odinal. It won't work. It doesn't work the other way. That's why, oh, what's the god of this? And you worship the ancestor, and then it's like all of a sudden, like the way you're interpreting it has been shrunken. There's a shrinking, right? So this lens and that shrinking makes it hard for you to pass a threshold. But once you get past that thing, like, oh, there's a whole wide world out there. You understand? This is different, right? That kind of thing. Same stories retold over and over. Yeah, cosmic stories. Same stories where they place themselves on top. Yeah, yeah, cause the cosmic story. Yeah, yeah. I think religion has an intention. Religion has an intention, and your intention determines your experience with the reality that you are placing an intention on. Odinala does not have an intention. Odinala is observation. And then through observation, you can set your intention, right? In the Christian, and everybody's supposed to have the same intention, which is get away from the earth, get away from the earthly, the worldliness, and go into the sky, go into the fucking sky, and have a gold, be on a gold road, and fly with the bird wings, birdism, bird, wing, right? Odinala, if you are trying to be more sky focused, right? We call that Nzen also. That exists. And if you see the way Nzen also behave, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's why the Europeans, oh, these people are Jews. No, fuck, we're not, you know. But I know why you're saying that. You understand? Ozo is Igwe is Amadioha. I'm aligning myself with Amadioha. I'm gonna act a certain way. You understand? I'm gonna carry myself a certain way. Okay, if I want to say Yahweh, wherever the fuck, right? You know, it's gonna be parallels, behavior wise. You understand? But religion has an intention. Christianity is the state religion of the Roman Empire, right? So the Roman Empire took over this vast land, and it said, I'm going to take all their spiritualities, we're going to mix it up, and then we're going to have them worship us, the Romans, right? The Roman Catholic Church. That's going to be the center of the world. It has to be the center of their world because now they're all under our wing. And so the Byzantines came because, again, you're trying to mix all these things up. So there's all these debates. And they're going to settle the debate once and for all and say that Jesus is actually is not just a person. It's actually a God. It's a sacred figure. And then the Middle Easterners, who also believe in all this exact same thing, but they just, again, they contextualize it different, right? They contextualize it different. They said, no, he's a prophet, right? And then the Byzantines said, we already made the decision. This is what it is. And then they went and got mercenaries from Arabia to come into their cities and throw the Byzantines out, right? To throw the Byzantines out and get rid of the Byzantine version of Christianity and do the original version of Christianity, which we now call Islam, right? So Islam takes over these places really fast, but it's not really taking over. They're opening the door for them. They're opening the gate because they're rebelling against the Byzantines. But then the Arabians take over and say, the center of the world is not Rome. It's my house. It's Mecca. It's us. Come to us. Come pay your taxes to us. Come over here and pay your tax to us. Do your pilgrimage to us. Let us get the money. Come this way. Don't go to Rome with the money. Come here with the money. That's also intention. It's the same fucking thing. That's why you will not find one difference between Islam and Christianity. It's just that in Europe, they went out of their way to like beat down Christianity and get it out of their society because it was holding them back from what they wanted to do, which was probably the worst, right? But it was holding them back from what they wanted to do, which was have slaves and shit, right? First, they tried to use to justify it that it's like, okay, can we enslave somebody who's a Christian? Okay, let's leave the Christianity thing alone. These motherfuckers are black. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Okay, eugenics, ooh, that kind of thing, and so forth, right? But the intention is always like, I want to have some slaves, fuck this shit, right? So it's the same thing. So both of them are just like you take a people's general cosmic understanding and you place it into your intention over it, a control-based intention. It's a state religion, right? It's like but then like, you know, and then spread it. Why? Because these are empires. They have to spread. You understand? If you understand cosmic polarity, the Ikenga moves. It's kinetic. It spreads. The Omumu attracts. It stays still. You understand? So turn off the Omumu, turn up the Ikenga, and go. Spread. So yeah, that's what that is, man. Like I said, if you understand Odinani, that shit, you start seeing the movements. You start seeing what's going on. So I'll do more. But I think you have to. I feel like I have an advantage because I grew up in the West, so I have like I can see things for what they are a little bit more. There's just way too much propaganda going on elsewhere. I'm also not a sucker, you know. They want to rewrite the Bible. It's already in progress. Yeah, I mean, they've done like 350 times. Boss, drop a new video now, beg. Okay, the video is coming. Hey, you fine? Why are you exposing me like this, huh? My brother, why are you exposing me like this, huh? This summer, I'm not gonna lie. This summer, I took it very easy. I moved to a new home, and when I got here, I just didn't feel like making videos for some reason, and I tried to force it, and I was like, you know what? Let me not force it. And then 1 month went, 2 months went, 3 months went, and I'm like, I gotta make a video. But then now, like I said, I'm feeling something, right? So I'm finishing up the next video, and then after this, I'm working on something I can do daily. I want to be able to drop something every day, right? So I might have like little videos, not just like clips, but like original stuff I can drop every day. I might have like little videos, maybe I'm still figuring that out. This is a thought that came to me this week, right? Um, but I need to do something daily. It might be a challenge I have for myself for this coming year. See if I can do something once every single day, right? But yeah. It's coming on. This next one, I like it. You understand? I like it, so I believe you like it as well. It is a fine, no problem. Video not yeah. But a fine. Have you watched the have you watched all of them? Have you watched all of them? You know, you probably got some on the pending playlist coming. So there's plenty already, but there's more coming, and they're going to be better and better each time. What are the forces that are unclean? What purpose and how did they come into existence and why? Well, there's a lot of forces that we share existence with, and they have different natures, right? They have different natures. Like now, we see it in the animal kingdom. If I leave food on the floor in my garage, the flies will come, the ants will come, right? There's an Elu that says, and we talked about this Elu on the group study. By the way, guys, join the Patreon. Come join the group study. We're having one tomorrow, morning my time, 10 my time. So I don't know what I'm Central Time, U.S. Central Time, Chicago time. But what was I gonna say? There's an Elu that says, we talked about this in the last group study. It says that when you bring the ant infested firewood home, you have invited the lizard. You understand? Or when you take the ant infested firewood, you've invited the lizard to your home. Meaning that you take firewood that's infested with ants, you bring it into your home, you wake up in the morning, there's a bunch of lizards looking for those ants. You understand, right? The same thing works spiritually. There's a spiritual element to this too. So there are certain behaviors you engage in, and it attracts the spirits that like that behavior. There are certain things you make a part of your life, and it attracts the spirits that like that thing. You understand? Right? I'm very hard on the Abrahamic religions, but there's a reason they prohibit this, prohibit that. They won't say it, right? They want you to go to the interpreter to come and tell you. You understand? But it's just that the things that they're trying to keep you safe from are attracted to some of those things, right? You know, there are spirits that are attracted to certain. That's why, like, if you notice that if you there are certain behaviors that you'll engage in, and then you'll feel a certain way because more spirit is felt. If you don't see it, it is felt, and you'll feel a certain way for like a week. You understand? You'll feel a way a week for a week. You'll feel a way for like 3-4 days. You understand? Right? There are certain behaviors you will engage in, and then it knocks you off your pivot. Right? And so there are certain, again, when there are certain presences around, when there are certain presences around, it affects your behavior, it affects how you operate, good and bad. So an Odinala person is intentional with who they're inviting and who they're not inviting, or who they're regularly engaging with, and so forth. Some of these spirits, especially the ones that people tend not to want to deal with, like the bad ones, they call them Igbo. Igbo, where I'm from, they call them Igbo and right? And you use Ekwensu to scare off Egwonsi, right? So there's Egwonsi that make you lazy. There are Egwonsi that make you immature. There are Egwonsi that make you vengeful or angry, right? There are Egwonsi, that kind of thing. So like there's one in the so I have a video called ARA Explained, ARA Explained. It's mental health from the Odinala Igbo's perspective, right? And there's a particular ARA that affects you when you are extremely jealous of a relative, right? And it's so funny because the example I used in the video was Lil Boosie, Lil Boosie. He has this video where he's talking about how you have to move away from your hometown once you become successful because the people in that hometown get hypnotized with hate. That's why he placed this, hypnotized with hate, right? And Igbo call that there's a certain aura, right? You're actually possessed when you're hypnotized with hate, as Boosie put it. You're actually possessed. You're possessed with a particular spirit, and now you're along for a ride. And that thing can take you. So that thing can make you kill somebody, right? That thing can make you kill yourself. I'm not using the Facebook term, but we're adults. I'm this bullshit. That thing can make you hurt yourself. Could hurt somebody. That thing can make you give up on your dreams, right? I know somebody who's hypnotized with hate, right? I know somebody who that Egwonsi is possessing them and has been possessing them for 15 years now, counting. 15 years counting. They are unbelievably jealous of a relative of mine. And that relative has this uniquely forgiving and patient spirit. Though if you're dealing with him one to one on a day to day, you would never guess it, right? You would never guess it. And this particular uniquely forgiving spirit, the person he deals with every 2 months will just crash out. They start making diss tracks about him. Start trying to collaborate with anybody that's ever hated him or insulted him. Make an angry Facebook message, da, 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 and then the person has like this breakdown. Everything falls apart, and they call this brother of mine, and then my brother of mine talks him through it. And this has happened at least 7 times that I've counted. We'll talk him through it. Sometimes yell at him through it, but not yell at him like, "Oh, you shouldn't have hated on me." Like, yeah, you could be a fucking dumbass, you know. And then he snaps out of it, and they start working together again, right? That kind of thing. So Boosie talked about this thing. The Igbo ancestors talked about this thing. But these Egwo, the reason I give this example is that they're invited. They're invited, right? So somebody has decided to lock into jealousy. And they're stewing, they're stewing, they're stewing, they're stewing, they're stewing. They don't know that there's other people. There are other people that like that. They don't know there's other people that like that's their vibe, right? They don't know they're calling somebody's name. They don't know they're playing somebody's tune. They know they're playing somebody's music. And then that thing pulls up, like, yeah, man. Man, why it gotta be him, man? Why has it gotta be him, man? Man, why it could have been you. It could have been you. Man, shit, man. Hey, man, if he says anything, you just slap him. You're gonna slap him. You're sitting there like, you're thinking you're having these thoughts. This is not your personality. But you're thinking you're having these, man, I swear, if he disrespects me, if he says this to me, I'm the reason. And then all of a sudden you crash out, right? You do something stupid. You understand? So yeah, we understand these things. We call it mental health, we call it whatever, but it's more than mental health. The behaviors invite certain things, right? I was telling somebody, hey, all you young gals that be putting your nyash in the air for Facebook, you think it's only humans that like nyash? You think it's only human beings that like nyash? Chill. You think it's only human beings that like nyash? Okay, no problem. But that's a whole different thing, you know? Every 2 minutes, somebody will be putting their nyash in the air for internet. You think it's just the human beings that are looking at nyash. You don't know that they're coming with somebody. When there's somebody coming with them, right? Oh, he has lust in his eyes. Those aren't his eyes. Those aren't his eyes. I feel like Speed Darlington right now. It doesn't matter how many Bibles we write or how many symbols we heck is my stand. Science is why Noxus call this place a prison. Devil, yeah. Nigeria, a free option. Get around the country blocks if you use called the Tor project, the web browser. Oh, nice data through multiple Western countries to make it anonymous. Best of luck. Odugo, you are a champion. I'm gonna pin. Ooh. I almost hit report. I just pinned Odugo. So if you're in Nigeria, you're trying to be a part of the Patreon community. Odugo just gave you the answer to avoid the blocks. Just use the browser called the Tor project. Yeah, use the browser called the Tor project, and then that should get you to where you need to get to. It's a free radical reaction to make plastic, and it's free radical reaction. Interesting. Okay, I don't know what that means, but it sounds wild. What do the dollar exchange rates is not only VPN? That's the issue. Yeah. We can't make international transaction without opening a dollar foreign account. That's one. Yeah. A lot of it is the useless, stupid Nigerian government, too. How do I get smart with Odinala, like forcing myself to study, or just straight up get smart? Do it. Don't just learn it with your brain. Learn it with your body. I would begin by learning how to break Oji. I would learn by learning your ancestors' names, and then begin greeting them in the morning. The good morning, or Aname Kelengi, however you do, Deamma. We say Deamma in my village, right? And what I come to find is as you do it and study it at the same time, it starts coming to you like a river, like a waterfall, like a geyser. It starts just coming to you, right? You start understanding things, right? But the route I took was studying. I first started with studying, and then with studying, I started doing. But I will tell you now, when I started doing is when things started to click on a different level. And now I do more doing than studying, right? But I will study, like, I'll study like very specific villages and things like that. Like, I have this really good book. Maybe I'll do a book haul, but I have this very good book about um, I think it's like Nemiri. It's a book about Nemiri, and it's mainly about this community in Oguta and things like that. I reference them a lot, but I got the book and I want to read about their specific experiences. But the big general concepts and things like that, they you really learn it from doing. So do it and then study along with it, and then the two will click. I have a lot of study materials. I have like 300 books and articles and stuff on Patreon, but you can also just Google and you'll find, just type in any topic PDF like Igbo spiritual, not the Igbo spirituality. You won't find as much stuff. You'll find like a lot of like new stuff. Okay, type in like specific things like Amadioha PDF, and then you'll find PDFs and things like that. Agon PDF, that kind of thing. PDF. Get books if you want. Most importantly, please, if you want to learn from the mind, that kind of thing, talk to your village people about your omenala. Talk to your elders about your omenala. I don't want to hear my dad is a Christian. No, my mom is a Christian. Okay, go talk to your uncle. You know what I mean? Go talk to the one that's behaving normal, right? Learn your community's omenala, right? You don't have to do all this in any order. I would recommend doing and then learning. Um, but yeah, and then you can keep watching the medicine show. People keep asking me this question. It's starting to fucking piss me off. I'm talking about, people ask me like, hey, is there a place I can go to learn Igbo spirituality? Like, people really ask me that question. You understand? Like, bro, go over there. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I get that question a lot. Is there a place I can go to learn Igbo spirituality? I get that question a lot. I get it a lot. You know what I mean? And fucking, you're okay. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want me that way? You know what I mean? The fuck? Talk about where can I learn Igbo spirituality? Like, would you ever go to Casey's? Or not Casey, let me say something. Shell, the little Shell gas station. Be like, hey, you know where I can get some gas? Like, yeah, just watch. You can watch the videos. Is a good way to learn too. Yeah, come to these lives, ask any question you have. Okay. Is the stress that takes to manage. The dollar today is $1 above. $1 is above 1,500 naira. Yeah, that shit's annoying. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be sustainable to do from Nigeria. Very true. I don't have the answer yet for that because I'm American, born Nigerian. Yeah. So the erroneous idea of Earth being hell, insanity. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So if I find a way to have a Patreon for Nigeria, it's not going to be the same price as you guys have here. It's not going to be the same price. And the payment is really just like a commitment. You know what I mean? Like a contribution commitment in my eyes. But it's not going to be the same price at all. Like I can't charge somebody in Nigeria $10 a month. That's ridiculous, or whatever. In America, it's understandable, it's normal, it makes sense. But I'm not doing that in Nigeria because $10 today is, who knows what it's going to be mean tomorrow. So again, figuring out how to do it in Nigeria is complicated. I've been trying for a long time to figure out how to go about it. I'm going to ask Afa. I'm going to ask Afa. I'm going to ask Afa how I should handle this Nigeria thing. Thank you for telling me about leopards and a magical dawn. Yes. The author be going in. Yes. So if you want to learn Udinala. If you want to learn Igbo spirituality, a very good book I would always recommend is Leopards of the Magical Dawn. If you have the brain power to handle that book, it is deeply rewarding and very fascinating. The author used to be the in-house Debia for our Patreon, but more than one of the patrons crashed out on him and insulted him in an annoying way. And then he's like, all right, bro, I'm good. And so that puts some strain on our relationship. But I don't tell that story, but I'll tell it now, right? So, so yeah. Every now and then a patron will come and just start running off anybody I bring forward. But they're always cool to me. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, guy. But yeah, the book is phenomenal. Absolutely, I would definitely consider him one of my early mentors and teachers, and even current mentor because I still read his book. You know, but we just don't talk as much because you just patrons are just behaving on stupidly, just nonsensically to him for no identifiable reason, right? Just if you knew what I expect, that's why it took so long to say, okay, I'm gonna have an in-house DB. I'm like, whoa, right?
What about now?
What about now? Not now. Okay.
I don't really want to do it anymore, anyways.
What did you want to do?
Just want to play a little.
Okay, fine. We'll play. Okay, I'll wrap it up. We'll play. All right. So I'm gonna have to wrap up, guys. Okay, for sure. My son's been very patient, so I have to wrap it up. Not sustainable. VPN, dollar account, dollar card. It's not sustainable. Oh, okay. Except I'm like mega rich class. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Speaking of masquerade season, we're in New Yam season. Yes, we are. I'm having trouble Googling when it kind of starts where it's celebrated in different villages. Yeah, so, and couldn't find it on the Patreon calendar. So, yeah, New Yam, every village has its own New Yam. So you would just have to figure out your townspeople, like when they're doing their New Yam, the day, or when they're having the day that they're doing it. But every town has its own. And it's usually when it decides like, okay, it's going to be on this day. I don't know what logic they used to do it. So I didn't put today's Iriji on here. Though I'm going to be having my own New Yam celebration here in my own household. And then I used to do one here on Patreon. So I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to bring that back. Yeah, we're going to have a virtual New Yam, but I'm also having a physical one too. And I'll give details. I'll give more details on it shortly. It will probably be this coming month. Odemma. New Yam comes in for some people. For some people. It's just the moon. Amuma Igwe, goddess of lightning. Ise. Yes. Yeah, Islam, same thing. Yeah. Christianity, Islam, Christianity, same thing. Their Allah has one eye, one hand, one leg, wakes up without commodes. I've met a lot of West African, Afro-American Muslims that do it more grounded fashion than how most people think of Islam. I don't think Islam's to bad actors. Yeah, there's like early West African Islam is more. It's not like it's not radical at all. It's not. But what tends to happen is wherever Islam is, if it's chill. Okay, let me put it this way. So when I was growing up, in my early 20s, my girlfriend was a Muslim. Her dad was very, very devout, right? And she shared something with me, and it was the truest shit I've ever seen in my life. And she was trying to, like, we were just talking about our cultures and things like that. She said that the way Islam works in her community is that not everybody is super religious, right? Like, that's kind of just a stereotype with Muslim. Not everybody's super religious. But in a room of people, the most religious person has the biggest voice, right? The most religious person has room to stand on. So like if you're really secular and somebody is really like in the thick of it, and the two of you are going back and forth, people are going to look at the more Muslim person as more credible than you, right? So people do a lot of performative things to try to show that they're up there. Like in Nigeria, they said that They say that if a person is wearing like their pants, like if their pants are above their ankles but they have no socks on, run. And then if they have the little they have the mark on their head, sometimes they'll deliberately make a mark on their head to show you that I'm really slamming my head on the ground, right? That kind of thing. So there's degrees, and the person that does the most. So what tends to happen is you get this like chill West African Islam. Then somebody goes, "This is the fake Islam. I got the real Islam from the Middle East." And then everybody that wants to be with the real Islam joins them, and then that person crashes out and starts killing a bunch of people and takes over, right? So Boko Haram is the same thing. The Fulani Caliphate is the same thing. That's all it is, just like the chill Islam. Then somebody goes, "No, I got the real Islam from the Middle East. I'm not doing this African bullshit." And then they start destroy. That's why, like in Mali, they're trying to hide the books that were written by Muslims from the medieval era, they call it, right? They're written by Muslims from the 1400s. But there's a group that's trying to destroy those because they say it's like it's not real Islam. It's sacrilege. And when somebody goes tells you that they're doing the real, it's hard to argue against them. That's what she said. Like it gets hard to argue against that person if they go full like, whew, you know what I mean? Because they're more of the thing that gives credibility than you are. So who are you to tell them? You understand? And typically there really are more of that thing, right? They really are more by the book. You understand? That kind of thing. So yeah, that's just that's what it is. But yeah, a lot of what Islam and like a lot of the like Yoruba cultures close to the coast, very chill, Senegal, chill, all these places. But there's something going on right now where a lot of different people are popping up. That's not the real Islam. I got the real Islam. Boko Haram. That's not the real Islam. I got the real Islam. ISIS. That's not the real Islam. I got the real Islam. Funny, whatever the fuck they're doing these days. All these people that are attacking in Mali, all these people that are attacking all these different. I got the real Islam. I got the real Islam. Anybody time somebody says they got the real Islam, just start fucking. Get out of there. But in general, the average Muslim is no different from anybody else. It's just if somebody there's a specific glitch in the culture that if you decide to crash out in that specific way, it's very hard to push back against you because you are more credible, right? If you actually like with the okay, if you start stoning, right? If you say, well, we're gonna start stoning these Jezebels, right? Yo, it really says stone the Jezebels in the book. So what are you telling me? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean don't stone these Jezebels? So but most people, 90, 98, well, most people are just living their life, but then you just get the random fanatical crash out. And Christianity, because again, Europe really beat Christianity down and pushed it to the closet and sent it to Africa, right? If somebody starts crashing out in a ridiculous Christian way, we can be like, well, what's wrong with that one? And then just move on with our lives. You understand? But they didn't have the same movement in the Middle East. Understanding Allah esoterically is on the whole. And that goes to Odini Man. I just leave these young internet ass people alone. What the hell is Odini Man now? What Derek is saying presently is he will pick and choose what he will practice from. Pick and choose what he practices. How is this? Alvin. What? Listen. What the fuck? How's somebody gonna say A and you say what the person just said was B? I didn't say about pick and choose. I'm not talking about practice. Leave this get out of this your religious brain. Get out of this your religious brain. I'm not talking about practice. What am I practicing? Odinala is I'm Derek or fought Duru or fought Rungwa. That's Odinala. How do you practice that? I'm not talking about practice. I pick and choose. What the fuck are you talking about? I might bury people. Now that you're pissing me off, bro, I might bury people. How about that? Talk about he pick and choose what he practices. I don't know. Like sometimes I just that's why sometimes before I answer, I'm like, oh God, I gotta think about how I'm gonna say this because people got that extra route in their head, that detour in their head that nobody asked for. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about pick and choose what you practice. There's nothing like practice. Okay, so my ancestors, they died. I have probably three, but for sure two ancestors that were buried with people when they died. They were warlords. These individuals were warlords. They were having a big ass war with this other person. They won, and they said that when I die, because you were stressing me out, I'm going to die with 15 of your sons. You understand? It's just shock and awe. It's just like a war tactic to scare somebody, to intimidate people. That's all it is. Do I need to do that? Guy who teaches Odinala on YouTube? No, I don't. So it's not about practice. Like, get out of that bullshit ass religion and quit being. I don't know why people just want to be slaved out all the damn time. You know? Oh, tell me how to act. Do I act like my ancestors, or do I act like the guys in the, the Europeans? Which one do I? Which one do I do? Dude, just live your fucking life, bro. I might be buried with people, man. Now that you're provoking me, talking about pick and choose, which one I'll practice. You know what I mean? And I might be buried. I might just because now you're testing me. I don't know what the fuck. Oh shit! Isn't that why the awful begins with hierarchy? Ndi ọkpụ na ndị egede na ndị mbụ. Egg said, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I'm gonna go kill me. Spaceship of gold. Okay, we're getting very jazzy. If you're one who finds the ancestors multiple African behaviors, how does one intricacies of Odinala from this perspective? Yeah, so you'll uh don't okay. There's nothing there's nothing I'm saying when I'm explaining Odinala that is not universal in its nature, right? So when I say acknowledge your ancestors, right? It's not that the Igbo people believe in acknowledging your ancestors. The human animal has to acknowledge its ancestors because that's a part of our existence, is who we are, right? So if you are in one culture, if they acknowledge your ancestors by doing a certain dance, in some cultures they'll acknowledge your ancestors by doing whatever. But then if you zoom into that culture that does this certain dance, and then this one's maybe they do a certain like thing in the morning, that kind of like a stretch or something, and you zoom into the one that does the dance, you'll find that each individual has their different way of acknowledging their ancestors. Each individual. But what does acknowledge your ancestors mean? It means that you and your ancestors are one and the same. You're a continuation of a current of life that started from the source, from the very beginning, and it ran through your ancestors, and now it's your turn, and you're going to maybe pass it on to the next person, right? That's what acknowledges. So in order for me to know who I am, I have to know that I am all of those things, and all of those things came together to create me, right? So with that understanding, you could naturally figure out how you're going to acknowledge that. And that's what it is. By the time the way you're going to do Odinala is not the reason there's so many cultures in my part of Africa and there's so many variations is because ultimately, this is the best way to put it. It's like a club. Think about like you go to the club, right? In the same, we're all hearing the same song, but that song is making everybody dance a different way or do a different dance move because they're doing what they feel. They're doing what they feel. They're doing what feels right to them. They're doing what is correct to them. There's no instruction like, okay, once Nelly comes on, or I don't know, maybe what is he, NBA Young Boy, right? Once NBA Young Boy comes on, you have to now start putting your hand on your head like this and do. That's why I was reacting to Ubulu Mu the way I did. Because one, he likes trouble, right? One, Ubulu likes trouble. Two, right? Let's get out of that religious thinking, right? The music comes on in the club. I'm using a club as the analogy. The music comes on. We're all hearing the same music. We're all hearing the same music. But each person is moving the way the music is making them want to move. Sometimes that music has instructions and everybody does the instruction, right? The line, or what do you call that? Do to the left, to the left, to the left, to the right. The people coming in from America, you'll know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes it has instructions, right? But we're all dancing the way we want to dance. We're all doing the way we want to do it, right? That's Odinala. So sometimes you'll go to one town and they do a specific dance this way. When I mean dance, I mean just like practice Odinala, right? And you go to another town, they do the same music, but they're dancing different, right? But if you pay attention to the dance moves, you'll know that it's moving to the same beats. They're stepping to the same beats. It's just this person is using his legs to express that. I'm using my chest to express it, right? But we're moving to the same beats because we're listening to the same song, right? So Udinala is learning what that song is, learning how to listen to that song. Once you can hear that song, you begin acting how you want to act, right? For my ancestors, right? Part of that song was, when I die, my son's enemies will be buried with me, right? I'm listening to the same song, but I'm gonna let y'all live for now. Let's keep talking about pick and choose practices. I'm just playing, man. It's all love. I see. Willing to come, maybe come and talk. That's a nasty spirit. How do you feel about people saying that Igbos are descended from ancient Egyptians? I personally don't believe it. Yeah, I don't. I guess like 10 sentences just try to come out of my mouth at the same time. No, we don't descend from ancient Egyptians. The artifact record in Igbo land is older than the artifact record in Egypt, so it doesn't make sense that we would come from them if it has been proven that we've been where we are at for longer than they've been where they are at. People tend to focus on Egypt because they have big buildings. And when you have big buildings, people like big buildings. Big buildings are cool, right? In 2,000 years, they're going to say Igbo people descend from Dubai because Dubai has the big buildings now, right? And then in 2,000 more years, who knows who's going to have big buildings after that? I think they're building something ridiculous in what country is that? Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is building a lot of big, ridiculous stuff. So they're going to say, hey, they have to come from there. They got the big buildings, right? So Egypt has big buildings, and because it has big buildings, everybody has to come from there. But I'm gonna let you know now, the artifact record in Igbo land is older than the artifact record in Kemet, Egypt, right? So no, I don't believe we come from Egypt, right? There's not something I'm going to say, and I don't feel like people are going to understand, but maybe one day it'll make sense. But the history of Africa is not a migratory history, okay? The history of Africa is not a migratory history. If you want to learn the history of African cultures, put to the side figuring out where people are from, okay? Because people have been on the African continent before the idea of humanity, before the existence of humanity. The thing that becomes human beings has been on the African continent. On top of that, most people have been where they are at for so long that it is untraceable historically, right? So most of the time you're hearing this one comes from here, that one comes from here. You're talking about Eurasia, Eurasian cultures, countries in Europe and Asia, North America, South America. Why? Because these places are populated by nomads. They were originally populated by nomads, okay? The nomads move from one place to another because of the seasonal climates, because of winter, because of this, because of war, because of that, and so on and so forth, limited space. But then in Eurasia, there are cultures whose history is not a migratory history. When you study Chinese history, it's not about the Chinese came from here. Now, if you study Japanese, yes, okay, there was two influxes of people allegedly. There was a native population. Their history is not a migratory history. And then there was the people who came over from like Korea side and that kind of thing, right? And that became the Japanese population allegedly and that kind of thing, right? India is not a migratory history. Now you hear about the Aryan invasions. The Aryan history is a migratory history. Those are nomads, okay? The history of the United States is a migratory history. Start from the 13 colonies, spread west, and so forth. You tell that, but the history of Nigeria is not a migratory history, right? It's not about, okay, where did these people come? They were here when we started saying that, before we started saying Nigeria, these people were here, right? So not everywhere has a migratory history. So one of the things that, I think we try to tell like Igbo history and things like that. Oh, this one came from here and that one came from there. And they start looking for like single individuals who allegedly everybody descends from, which is BS, right? That doesn't make any sense. You understand, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So no, it's not a migratory. We have to start learning how to tell non-migratory history. We're not all nomads. Some cultures are not nomadic. Now, if I tell the history of the Fulani people in Nigeria, yeah, they came from Funta Jalon, fine. If you tell the history of the Igbo people, it's not about this one came from this one came from. Okay, then why don't we just fucking go back? You know what I mean? Like what you know what I mean? Like, okay, why did I go? Is it because of my cows? Okay, we don't herd cows. Okay, end of story. Right? Eurasia, what do? They herd. They herd. Herding is common, right? A lot of the migratory cultures in Eurasia are from the steppe. Why are they moving around in the steppe? Because once a year, the entire steppe freezes over. When it freezes over, the climate changes. It's hard to grow things. It's hard to do whatever. So to sustain myself, I get a big herd of cows or a big herd of sheep or a big herd of animals that can move around that I can put in the cave and take out of the cave. And I can walk when this water freezes over, I can get over there and walk over there. We don't have any of those environmental factors in Igbo land. There's no reason on God's green earth for me to leave our mama in an ancient setting and go to Onitsha and go plant yams. The nigga, the yams grow there. You know what I mean? Okay. Once we start getting into cities and move, okay, fine. Now we start moving around because we got little skills to show. But it's not these mass migrations. It's the person that knows how to do this thing or the person that wants to get the job here and that, just like it is now, regular kind of immigration kind of thing, right? You understand? But there's no such a thing as it's just not a we're not it's not a migratory history. It's just not. You understand? Like right now, I'll give you this. 90,000 years ago, people start allegedly. People start. I say allegedly because it's probably before that, but 90,000. Keep that number in mind. 90,000 years ago, people started making spears en masse at Utsuru, Uguele, I think in Abia State now, in mass. And they were making it in such mass that like there's layers of it. So like it's like a landfill of spears, like a big landfill of broken spears, right? They started making those spears. And the story is that Nechuku, if you know Igbo cosmology, you know about Ugunele, Ahaele, Ugunele, right? And I'll get to that song in a minute. So at Ugunele, what would happen is you go to the Nechuku shrine, right? Komosu Uwa Eke. Her shrine was there. And you'd go there, and then after you ask for whatever you want to ask for, she gives you a spear. And near the shrine, right? Near the shrine, there's this just 90,000 years worth of broken spears. And it's not just like one or two, it's like thousands per year. So a lot of people are already living here, coming to this place to get stuff. You understand, right? In my community, there was a situation where a family had their offal stolen and sold. And so they had to go make a new offal. And that family had to go to Ugunele to receive a metal ring that they will put in the bag with their offal. You understand, right? The same way that 90,000 years ago, their ancestors were doing that thing. Now, 90,000 years ago, Europe was in what's called the Ice Age. Woolly mammoths, dinosaurs were still walking around. I'm not making this shit up. You can Google it, right? Woolly mammoths are still walking. Elephants with fur, with like coats, were still walking around. You understand? There was Neanderthals. Neanderthals were still alive in Eurasia. You understand? In Eurasia. You understand, right? And there's zero from like Kemet. The only other thing they find that old are things in Central Africa, things in Southern Africa, things in like the like Ethiopia, and then like a piece of cloth in like what is now Morocco. Those are the only things that are like that show human activity that are that old. Okay. So it's not a migratory, or it's not this one came from here, or this came. Do we come from Israel? Do we come from all these barren ass places? I can't say. Okay, so then why are there more of us than there are them? If how can I come from our mama? I have two kids. How will I in America have more children in my household than there are human beings in our mama? It wouldn't make sense, right? So it's not a migratory history. Okay, so I'm sure that was boring for a lot of people. You know what I mean? But I think I have to make that clear. I think with all this, people try to tell African history about migration. Migrate. This one came from, yeah, that one. Just leave that shit alone. You can't. That's not how you tell a story. The reason it works in Eurasia is because they just started settling down, like seriously, about 5,000, 6,000 years ago. 90,000, 5,000, 6,000. They started settling down. And when they settled down, a lot of them went and took over cities that were already set up, towns that were already set up. They just went and took it over. You understand? They call it, in India, they call it the Aryan invasions. And these little invasions happen in all different places. All these nomads, these people are settled. Oh shit, they got some nicer over there. All right, let's go kill them. You know, yeah, you take over and that kind of thing, right? And so forth, right? Same thing happened in the north in Nigeria. So I gotta be running, y'all. Quit eating, giving poison, silence. Ubulu, I'm gonna skip your comment. You keep yapping. So finally, Derek is exposed. Got him. Has plans to bury us with him. Ha 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 ha. No, you specifically. You specifically. You will go with me. What the fuck? Okay. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? We heard cows in free range and staple. Well, if we're talking about Igbo people, we didn't herd cows. I mean, in Enugu, they did in Enugu, but because there's hills in Enugu, and so in Enugu there's less mosquitoes, and there's less mosquitoes than you can have cows. So people in Enugu, they did cow herding. You know what I mean? Or like people like Ebonyi, parts of Abia, and that kind of thing. Where I'm from, no, they did not herd cows. Goats. Okay, let me take that back. They figured out how to breed the Igbo, the little cute Igbo cow. So Igbo people made this like a cow. It's like little and it acts like a dog. Like it's very like smart, you know, but it can survive in the tropics, right? So yes, we do have our own cow that can do that. But for the most part, our ancestors were not roaming herders. And yes, they if they had livestock, which they did, it was in a settled place, a contained, free range place, that kind of thing, right? Just like the chickens and the goats and so forth. So yeah, you're right. I'm sick of hoteps claiming everything in Africa is from Kemet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got big buildings, you know. There's the big buildings. Uh, all them 90,000 years ago. 9,000 years ago, when the spears were in use, may have developed earlier. Exactly, exactly, right. And this is just like the physical. There's physical evidence of it starting from 90,000 and then ending. That culture of throwing away spears in this specific place ended about, I think they said, in 2000 BC. 2000 BC. 2000 BC is around the time that all the stuff in the Bible. That's when that starts happening. Okay, so this just showing you there's all fingers are not equal. All fingers are not equal. Not everybody's are mates. I'll do my. All right. So enough history talk. I think I'm boring everybody. Guys, I'm gonna go play with my son. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my rant. Yeah, thanks for listening to my rants. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting as always. Two things. For those of you who are Ezumezu highest tier patrons, if you're trying to get into the language class, we are starting on Wednesday. So send me the message fast. Send me the message fast. Oh, so Igbo, Asusu Igbo, 1, 2. We're not having 3. Nobody signed up for 3, but just 1 and 2 this time, and or the kids class too. So 1, 2, and Kedu Kids. If you want to sign up for either of those, it's fine. The medicine class is going to resume September, at the end of September. So this is a great time to get signed up. You can sign up for all of this at www.kedu.me. Otherwise, join the Patreon, come hang out. Have an entire library of stuff to study and learn. We talked about the book Leopards of the Magical Dawn. It is in the library for those of you who are already patrons and you're interested in reading it. Really recommend it. I always commend anybody who commits themselves to reading it because to me, it's very dense, right? It's very dense. But actually, it's in the recommended folder, and I have a whole reading list of that you can read in the Patreon, the recommended folder. And the first one, it goes from like easiest to hardest or like the most meta, but then like the last few are like simpler, if that makes sense. So it goes like it's like a curve. It goes like easy, hard, and then back easy. But that back easy is like, now that you understand these things, this should make a lot more sense, that kind of thing. So that being said, as always, Dalo Mazi Derek, Kam Hapoge, okay. So why digging one day, Jishike in Bali, Adumba. Still here, oh my long session. I hope you'll spend time with your family. Yes, yes, I'm gonna go spend fine time with family and rest. As always, Uno Gadi. Yo, Derek, do you watch anime? That Japanese Buddhists go crazy. Yes, no. I don't watch. I watched Dragon Ball, and I'm currently rewatching Dragon Ball, and I haven't gone further than Dragon Ball. Right? I haven't gone for as far as anime goes. I liked Gundam Wing a little bit, but the writing was really weird as far as like the characters and stuff, which is common in anime. But anyways, that being said, but yeah, they go deep. Dragon Ball goes deep, very deep. Man, it goes deep. It's a lot of like channels that break down Dragon Ball esoterically that I've been listening to like as of this past month. So it's funny that you asked me this. But anyways, that being said, uno gade, uno geto. Ihe ọbụla m n'uti aka ọ ga-adị n'ụwa ọ ga-adị otu a na-eke n'orie n'afọ na nkwọ ise. Jishikano. Take care, guys.